today on this beautiful day, we got about 2 to 3 hours to power through these gorgeous, amazing, mysterious chapters of Lord of the Mysteries. The goal is to read 837 to 848. The Missus should have told me she was gonna be home earlier. Then I could have gone live like an hour early. I could have done everything like an hour earlier so I can read these chapters and not be rushed, and then I can still make it to the gym IRL and get that pump. We'd be good. But it's okay. We're not gonna let IRL stop us from reading these amazing, gorgeous chapters. If you hear any breaking on this door, I blame you guys. All right, if you guys hear any loud knocking, I blame you. Remember Vanita's OST? Yes. Thank you for reminding me. I forgot, Kami. We're going to be playing that OST for this arc. I hope you guys are ready, because I am excited to see what happens. You're still stalling, by the way? No. That was my intro. 50-second intro. It's okay. All right, perfect. Got a yap, I guess? Yeah, you guys got a yap to see who gets first place to stream. Right now, Hope is in the lead. Chapter 837 is called The Hangers. As the crimson moonlight dimmed, a thought surfaced in Klein's mind. The crimson moon is about to be covered by the fog again. Just as this thought appeared in the indistinct, loitering figures outside and vanished as though they had evaporated in the thin air, the beast-like growls also came to a halt. The environment has been restored to its previous state. Demoness of despair, Panatia, can move about freely again. Mr. A will no longer have any qualms in the dangers outside. He can unleash a barrage of attacks to capture his prey. Klein instantly came to a conclusion as he raised his right hand index finger and snapped, igniting the leaves of a tree tens of meters away. He wanted to open up a gap with Mr. A to prevent himself from getting sicker. At the same time, he wanted to determine if he should take the risk of entering the ancient cathedral. With respect to his present situation, Klein already had a plan in mind. It was to use Mr. A's potent and multifarious ability to draw Panatia's attention. After all, to her, a shepherd and marionette weren't any different when it came to the meat quality. Ew. They could both fill her stomach, so her priority was definitely one who's easier to deal with. When the time comes, both parties would definitely engage in battle, and Klein needed to find an opportunity to strike down Panatia. Just as the scarlet flame soared and engulfed Klein, he saw Mr. A turn into shadow, melt into the surprisings once again. It was unknown where he hid himself. He ran. Aren't you crazy, Mr. A? Shouldn't you continue pursuing your prey? Why did you run? Klein's gaze froze as he couldn't help but twitched the corners of his mouth. His figure vanished amidst the flames before appearing in the flames tens of meters away. Just as Klein leaped out of the fire, he felt his forehead burning once again. His lungs felt heavy as his breathing became rapid and difficult. Plague. Demoness of despair, Panatia had spread her plague once again. To Klein, this beautiful lady in a pure white robe had already floated somewhere in midair at some point in time, walking towards him. Beneath her feet were countless transparent and thin lines that formed a spider's web. They were connected to the surrounding buildings and trees, fully covered half past the street, and the eyes of the demigod level demoness. The intense hunger pangs were gone. The obvious bloodshot look in her eyes wasn't there, and the way she looked at Gurmit Sparrow was one of insanity and teasing. It was as though she wanted to drain his abilities to resist bit by bit, making him feel the deepest, most heavy and most painful despair. Klein held back his urge to cough as he snapped his fingers again, causing the trees of desire, the cathedral, to burst into flames. His figure was immediately engulfed by the fire as he rapidly faded away and appeared above the tree. He had appeared amidst gorgeous flames. Right onto the heels of that, he hurriedly jumped to the ground, somersaulting to the side of the ancient cathedral. At that moment, his body suddenly turned cold as he found that his feet, thighs, and waist were covered in thick layers of ice, and the surrounding him with an accumulation of frost and temperament declined rapidly. Klein clenched his teeth, holding back the horror within him. He followed his plans as he reached out his arms in an abnormally rigid fashion, pressing it straight onto the wall. The creeping hunger on his left had turned transparent, and silence. Klein passed through the thick, pitch-black wall and entered the spiritual cathedral. Wow, I'm reading that wrong. The spot where he was standing had a black fireball smash into the wall just a little too slow. It splashed out of the water, burning away the nearby frost and weeds. At that moment, at the top of the ancient cathedral spiral swirled, ravens opened their beaks. Wow. Is that a baby? What the fuck is that sound effect? Wow. Panatia halted as she looked at the dark cathedral. Bit by bit, her face was dyed with a look of fear. Inside the cathedral, Klein found himself unable to see anything. It was darker than the outside. As the frost melted, and with him getting accustomed to the dim lights, he finally saw the scene before him. As far as he could see, there were figures being hung up in midair. They were all humans. Ooh, this is the fan art! Is this the artwork I've been looking at for so long? Whoa! All the humans in midair. I've seen this artwork before. Yes? Oh, I never knew what that was. Only like a month ago. Yes, the one we told you not to look at. Dude, hold up. I've seen this artwork since I first started reading Lord of Mysteries, motherfucker. I saw that artwork like from the beginning, and I only noticed the humans in the artwork like a month ago when we set up this format. I originally had that artwork, the one you searched up. Yes, in full context, I saw this scene when I started this series, but when I set up this layout, I had that artwork as my background, but I didn't know if it was safe to put because it was like I didn't know if I had the artist's permission to put it. And I was like, why the fuck are there humans like floating in the background? You got the art of the thumbnail already. Yeah, I already have that artwork set. I've seen that art. Wow, I've seen that artwork since like last year. What the fuck? That's so cool. Holy shit, they've been flying in midair this whole time and I never knew that. Oh shit, dude. As far as he could see, there were all figures being hung up in midair. They were all humans. Some of them were dressed in black classic. I'm so excited now. What the heck? I'm so excited seeing like just okay, hold up. Some of them were dressed in black classical robes, other in brown jackets. Some were wearing their fluffy skirts, while others had tattered clothes, making them resemble beggars. Some of them had boorish looks, other handsome with cut facial features. Some of them were beautiful and outside tender, adorable, looking youthful. None of them looked the same. No, there was something that they had in common. They were like meat that were undergoing a curing process. They hung from above, swaying gently as their heads were bowed and their eyes rolled back. What the? Klein felt his scalp tingle, and he no longer doubted that this place was extremely dangerous, as described by Panatia and Mr. A. Now you can know why we were crashing out at you using it, and I didn't even know what it was. I get why you guys were crashing out, man. Like, you're like, take that shit off right now. He held his back to the wall, planning on using the door opening to leave to avoid danger the moment anything happened. He would then pass through the wall if he discovered the demoness. If he was discovered by the demoness of despair to avoid her attacks. By repeatedly doing so, he could ensure his safety. Whoosh. A cold air blew through the cathedral as the figures and corpses turned around facing Klein. Their collars were like ropes that left their heads dropping. Klein nearly drew a gasp as he pressed his palm onto the wall. At this moment, the figures began to sway like wind chimes. They opened their eyes and produced raving-like voices. What the fuck is this? Hornicus Flagera? Hornicus Flagera? Hornicus Flagera? I got a tear in my eye. What the heck is going on? This is so sick. The voices resounded into one, drilling into Klein's ears as he found it abnormally familiar. This was the ravings that he had heard during his advancement in the past from the very beginning. What the heck? It actually originated from here, from the foggy town. It came from the corpses that hung high in the ancient cathedral. At that instant, not only was Klein's scalping tingle, he even felt his body trembling. What? One of the most... What the heck is going on, dude? Could it be that the foggiest in this town actually originates from the main peak of the Hornicus mountain range? That nation of the Evernight which vanished. That was mentioned so early on. Why did it vanish? I remember that. Like, why did this place just disappear? Oh, that's where they were sent. Don't tell me that I really am on the mountain. However, why would it be inside this cathedral? These same ravings don't bring about a headache or push me towards losing control. Klein hissed as he spread his hands and clenched it again repeatedly, resisting the urge to pass through the wall. Since he was already inside and he had seen the source of the ravings, he believed that escaping probability didn't resolve the problems. Regardless, it's necessary to do a simple search, otherwise I wouldn't even know the reason when someone abnormal happens to me. After using a gold coin to quickly do a divination, Klein tapped his molars gently and activated his spirit vision. He looked up at the hanging figures and found his spirituality converged. The aura colors look normal but exuded stiff appearance. There are aura colors, they aren't dead yet. Klein frowned slightly and deactivated his spirit vision. Right on the heels of that, he tapped on his left thumb on the first segment of his index finger, planning to observe the spirit body threads. Upon sweeping his gaze across, Klein's pupils dilated because the spirit body threads of the swaying of the figures looked extremely special. The illusory black threads that corresponded to their bodies were extending in the same direction, the peak of the ancient cathedral. There wasn't a single exception. In Klein's vision, there were like corpses being hung up by the spirit body threads. Before Klein could figure out what all of this meant, he caught a scene from the corner of his eyes. His spirit body threads were automatically reaching upwards to the peak of the cathedral, the source that hung up those figures. This was the first time Klein saw spirit body threads moving autonomously. It was as though they were metals that had come into contact with magnets. I thought it said maggots. Okay, magnets. That makes more sense. They floated upwards uncontrollably, and the fastest threads had already reached its destination. Klein didn't dare to imagine the outcome if all these spirit body threads gathered up above. He suspected that he too could become a piece of the cured meat that would be hung up to be dehydrated, producing the ravings of Hornicus Fligera along the wind. For most beyonders, they could only consider leaving the cathedral in a bid to serve the process of having their spare body threads attracted, but Klein was different. He was a marionettist. Quickly, he controlled his spare body threads and pulled them thread by thread. After nearly 30 seconds, Klein finally completed the task. However, his spare body threads continued floating upwards. He had to constantly pay attention and resist the upward drift. This is one of the dangers of lurking inside the cathedral. Klein slowly drew a breath as he no longer leaned close to the walls. Step by step, he ventured deep into the cathedral. Above him, the figure swayed as though they were watching him. After proceeding nearly 30 meters, Klein finally saw something different. It was the pitch black altar of the cathedral. On the altar was a stone statue. Klein identified the statue when he took a few more steps. It was in the shape of a female human. Panatia? They look like ownerless marionettes is what I thought when I first read it. Ownerless marionettes, and they're just waiting to be used, and that's why they're automatically just hung in the sky. What the heck, dude? It's like a marionette closet, bro. What the heck? Klein identified the statue when he took a few more steps. Wait. After producing nearly 30 meters, Klein finally saw something different. It was a pitch black altar of the cathedral. On the altar was a stone statue. It's Evernight. Pitch black altar, black dress. Klein identified the statue when he took a few more steps. It was in the shape of a female human. It's Evernight. However, her hips and ribs had two beast legs growing out from each of them. Ugh. These limbs were covered in short, thick, and firm black fur. In addition, the statue was surrounded with black bands that seemed to reach out like tentacles. At the statue's feet, there were souls sleeping as though they were holding her up on the pedestal. Klein shifted his gaze and looked at the statue's heading and saw a beautiful face. Klein's gaze froze. The face was unfamiliar to him, but because he had been sent in her by that entity... Oh, wait, I'm reading wrong. This stone statue appearance was identical to the Eraser Angel under the St. Samuel Cathedral. She is actually related to place. That's right. The people she erased are sent here. Wait. Is she supposed to be Evernight? If it was the Evernight's town? That's right. She erased... What? What she erases are sent here, so it would be odd if she's not connected to this place. What's the connection between her and the fourth epoch nation of the Evernight and the Hornikins mountain range, the mother of the sky? But if that's the case, why would she be working for the church? Furthermore, such an image does have its resemblance to the demonic wolf, that little sun. Whoa! Lag? Are we back? Lag, or is it me? I think it did lag. Wait! I lag too. Everybody lagged. Yeah, lag. Oh my god, the lore is so strong. All right, we're back. So they're referencing the demonic. They're referencing demonic wolf Flagera. I'm gonna keep reading. There are so many mysteries. Oh, there's too many mysteries in Lord of the Mysteries. Yeah, we good? All right. Hornikins mountain range, the mountain of the sky, but if that's the case, why would she be working for the church? Furthermore, such an image does have its resemblance to the demonic wolf that Little Sun mentioned. Many thoughts instantly surfaced in Klein's mind. During this process, he slowly shifted his gaze away in another direction in hopes of finding any possible clues. A few seconds later, Klein discovered a figure. It was hung in midair, but was seated diagonally behind the statue. Next chapter. Let me read that while I'm recording. The lore reveal was so good, it affected the space-time continuum to affect your stream, and that's why we lagged, man. Oh my god. I remember saying, like, oh, we're probably going to meet Flagera when we go to the Hornikins mountain range and that abandoned cathedral, or the abandoned palace that's covered in maggots. So, I'm thinking maybe she's like a human manifestation. Doctor Who mug? Yeah, you caught it? Yeah. Don't worry. I used to watch a shitload of Doctor Who when it was on Netflix. I watched everything on Netflix back in the day, man, when it was available. Chapter 838 is seen from the historical void. The figure sitting diagonally behind the statue was an elder in a black robe. He wore a hood and his head bowed. I updated everything. Good? We're good? Yes, we are good. By his mouth was a thick, long, and white beard. It was as though he hadn't had it trimmed for years, preventing anyone from telling what he originally looked like. And in Klein's eyes, this hoary elder was even more bizarre. He's going to have the bizarre sorcerer ingredient because he's a very bizarre old man. Watch. He was even more bizarre than the figures hanging in midair. After his spirit body threads extended out from his body, it didn't drift up to the spot which seems to hide magnets. Inside, they coiled around his body and back on themselves, making the source of the destination one and the same. So he's the guy. ordinary spirit thread stemmed from inside his spirit body, extending outwards in different directions into infinity. As for the figures that hung from above, the source of their spirit body threads was no different. The destinations which they expanded out to gather at the top of the cathedral, thus it was obvious that there was something wrong about it. This is the reason why he hasn't been hung up, or should I say, this is how he avoids the danger inside of the cathedral. As Klein controlled his spirit body threads to resist the continuous upward drift, he suddenly muttered and guessed at the reason. Suddenly he saw a pair of pitch black eyes that looked like an unlit water surface. The elder sitting behind the statue opened his eyes. He was still alive. What the fuck is going on, dude? He has to be like the bizarre sorcerer, right? That's gonna give him a characteristic. Klein subconsciously took a step back as he bent his back slightly, holding out his left palm in front of him. Amidst indescribable silence and anxiety, he saw the hoary elder's eyes. That's such a weird word to say. Hoary eyes move slightly, open his mouth slightly, and speak in a muffled manner. Finally, another seer has come here. Yo, dude, another seer. He's like, I've been waiting for a worthy lord of the mysteries. Oh, is that what he's gonna say? He's like, finally, a worthy successor. Another. Beyond us from the seer pathway had entered this cathedral. That's right, apart from the eraser's angels erasing the people, sending them to the foggy town, and those who vanished in the night of the battle of the god ruins would also appear here. Amongst them, there might be a few seer pathway beyond us who... Oh, there might be a few more than just him. That's right, apart from the eraser's angels erasing the people. Such a good arc. Sending them to the foggy town, and can you tell how much I'm smiling right now? And those who vanished in the night at the Battle of the God Ruins would also appear here. Amongst them, there might be a few seer pathway beyonders who attempted to seek out mermaids in those waters. Oh, you're right, because they get sent to the same place. Or had successfully advanced and were looking to leave. Seeing that the other party had no intentions to immediately attack him, he had the intention to converse with him. He forcibly composed himself and said, after some thought, why do you say that? The hooded elder with black eyes and white beard. Oh, the hooded elder? Is this the guy from the trailer that's like covered in cloak and then there's hands coming out? The hooded elder with black eyes and white beard didn't immediately reply as he asked with a muffled voice, do you wish to escape? I can tell you how. Klein wasn't moved as he merely asked, and why are you still here? Since the method to escaping this foggy town was known, why would one stay inside such a dangerous cathedral? The elder dropped his head and chuckled in the throaty manner. It's because I've died long ago. Wait, we can see it did. The hair on Klein's back stood on the end as he broke out into a cold sweat. He was speechless. How he could tell that the elder was in existence in the form of a soul. Seeing no response, the elder slowly lifted his head and swept his glance at Klein in German Spur's appearance. I've used special beyond powers to seek out the void in the world's history and fate. I sliced off a portion of my projection and left it here. What the fuck? It has been maintained to this day. So this is just like a portion, or it's like a projection of the spirit body. It has been maintained to this day. As for my body and my spirit, they have long died and dissipated. This is such a fascinating power. Klein was unable to verify the claim, so all he could do was asking, why are you giving guidance on how to escape the seers who enter? That was most likely Mr. Z of A. The elder's voice remained muffled. After you open the door, the history and fate in here will experience a change. The projection I slice will also vanish, and when the time comes, you will see an urn of ashes. Saint Selena's ashes. We used her ashes to hit sequence 4. Oh, sequence 4 main ingredient. History. After you open the door, the history and the fate in here will experience a change. The projection I slice off will also vanish, and when the time comes, you will see an urn of ashes. I only wish that they could be scattered in the Sorrenzo River near Inta's capital, Trier. This is my hometown, the place where I was born. Do you know the place I'm referring to? I have no idea how much time has passed in the real world. He's been in prison for at least a century. Klein frankly replied, they still exist. Excellent. The elder said with a nod, his throat apparently filled with phlegma? He sliced his own history and put it here. He sliced his own history and put it in here. So, like, and then that's how he's able to project himself. Although Klein didn't fully trust the person before him, he believed that knowing more made it beneficial for him to make a judgment. Hence, he decided not to waste any time for fear of being interrupted again. Then, how should I escape? The elder remained sitting in his spot and said without any obvious movement, see that wall behind the statue? Do you see an insect? I'm sorry, is this like the goo for Reverend Insanity? Are we using goos now? Klein actually didn't wish to follow his instructions. After all, he had been led by Panatia to do so, resulting in him seeing her incomplete mythical creature form, and hence suffered from the shock and damage. However, he had previously planned on surveying the surroundings in search of clues. Therefore, he ultimately carefully shifted his gaze to look at the wall behind the statue. Engraving on it were short and ancient symbols, but there was an empty spot in the middle, preventing it from being connected as one. The blank area was the size of 2 palms and was obviously intended. It was as though someone had dug a brick in the surface. As long as you find the corresponding obsidian rock and insert it, the wall will tentatively be released from a concealed and secret state. It will showcase illusionary colors. When the time comes, I'll tell you of a complicated special symbol. It will be the key to opening the door on the wall, allowing you to escape. The elder didn't turn his head as he looked straight ahead and spoke in detail. A complicated special symbol, a key to opening the door. Klein listened to the ravings of the Hornicus flagera resounded with the wind behind him as the symbol suddenly came to mind. It was a vertical eye formed from many secret symbols. It was the vertical eye formed from many secret symbols. The true creator's eye? It was the information that It was the information that the Antigonus family notebook had passed to him by the corrupted misfortune cloth puppet. That's like since volume 1. And the Antigonus family appeared to have a deep connection with the nation. Wait, I'm gonna read this. I'm reading too quick. And the Antigonus family appeared to have a deep connection with the nation of the Evernight of the main peak of the Hornicus mountain range. Could this be the so-called key? Klein retracted his gaze in a calm manner and asked, why did all the seers from before fail? The elder chuckled and said, some of them are as naggy as you are, failing to leave this cathedral before the crimson moon turned clear. They ended up being hung up in the case for that fellow who gave himself a handsome face, likewise for the lady with flawless features. Klein nearly rendered speechless by the elder's jibe. However, he also learned something. The danger inside the cathedral will greatly increase once the crimson moon turned clear. Every marionettist were unable to control their spirit body threads. I'll have to constantly take note of the changing of the light. Once the crimson moon turns clear, I'll pass through the wall. Klein looked around him and confirmed that the wall closest to the pitch black altar was 6 to 7 meters away. Then he quickly came to an emergency plan. That hooded elder didn't look at him as he continued. The rest weren't very lucky. They encountered enemies that had lost their reasoning, and one wanted them food. They were then devoured. You have to know that there aren't many beyonders from the sheer pathway to begin with. The ones that become marionettes are even fewer. The number that can come in here due to the various reasonings are only a handful. Like only select special people can come in here. He didn't finish the sentence as he slowly looked up and glanced at the top of the ancient cathedral. He then said with a muffled voice, their outcomes were equally tragic. What do you mean? If I didn't attempt to steal the notebook, I wouldn't have to rely on the ravings from these hanging corpses inside the cathedral and climb up the main peak of the Hornicus mountain range to seek out the Antigonus family's notebook. What a coincidence. Will I be considered as one of those that had got attracted or enticed? It's difficult to come in here, and the outcome would be equally tragic. Klein's mind stirred as he began suspecting that the so-called treasure of the Antigonus family was nothing but a trap based on the dilapidated palace and translucent worms he had previously seen from his divinations. He didn't bother asking more detail as he tried to sound out more important information. Do you know where the obsidian rock is? The elder chuckled. It's in the hands of the demoness of despair. Shit, so we gotta beat her. Demoness of despair, so Panatia really is a demoness of despair. Klein has previously addressed Panatia inwardly as such, but because he knew that she was called a lady of despair, as well as him being certain that she was a demoness, hence he has simplified the 2 tidbits of information and gave her such a nickname. He never expected the sequence for the demoness pathway was a demoness of despair. Damn. That would be very difficult for me to obtain the obelisk rock, so a true demigod. Klein didn't conceal the difficult position he was placed in as he waited to see if the elder had any suggestions. The elder shook his head and said, I'm a person who is long dead. That very little help I can provide. Huh? Didn't you have a marionette when you came in? Yes, but it had already been eaten by the demoness of despair. Klein replied in a seemingly calm manner. The elder sighed and chuckled. I can help you summon him from the history of this world? What the fuck? Just as he said that, Klein saw lines quickly outline themselves beside him, drawing out Admiral Blood Sinor in his triangular hat and dark red coat. Furthermore, the spirit body threads were still under his control, so he hasn't necessarily fully lost him yet. I thought we lost him already, though. Klein's pupils immediately constricted as he heard the hooded elder add, it can only be maintained for 30 minutes. Make good use of the time. I hope you strengthen some of your connections, enhancing your control of the marionette. This way, you can let the marionette use the Beyonder powers and also allow you to swap locations with him instantaneously. The controllable distance and traits of him looked alive will also be boosted. Allow my marionette to use my Beyonder powers. Doesn't this mean that I can use the powers of a faceless to make my marionette turn into another me? A perfect body double. Okay. This is a demigod of a seer pathway. This is... So sequence 4? This is one of the power. Oh, you can make a perfect clone with your marionettes. This is one of the powers of a bizarre sorcerer. The enemy never knows if the one killed is a real bizarre sorcerer. What the? He pulled Klein's marionette from. Oh, he pulled him from history. Okay, that makes more sense. Wait, even though that's confusing, that makes sense because everything is bound by history within that world. Technically, Admiral Blood would have been part of the town's history, so that's how he's able to pull them. Also, summoning a marionette from history. This is completely inconceivable. Thoughts surfaced in Klein's mind as he could hardly compose himself. The older looked up and glanced at him before continuing. Give me a paper figurine. Klein frowned slightly and hesitated for a few seconds before taking out a paper figurine and handing it over. The elder reached out with wrinkles in hands, took out the paper figurine before swiping across it casually. Klein's headache, fever, and enlarging tonsils suddenly disappeared. The paper figurine was tainted with spots of red dust as it quickly cracked after becoming brittle. Using my paper figurine to transfer my element, Klein thought as he finally shook. Sorry for my breach of etiquette. How may I address you? Attendant of mysteries. Who is he? The elder didn't immediately reply as he said with a sigh, I can only provide you a little help. He paused as he gave a muffled laugh. You can call me Zaratul? Holy shit, dude. Oh, cry. Oh, this is so hype. Oh, this is so sick. Why? We're fucking meeting Zaratul. Holy shit. Descendant of an ancient god. What the fuck am I reading, dude? Okay, next chapter. What theories of Zaratul? We told you this is speak. Oh, what do you mean remember my theories of Zaratul? I don't even remember what I said. Wait, that he be waiting for him? That's an angel right here? Holy shit, dude. Oh my god. Your real name is Jack. I know it. Shh, Jack Sparrow, baby. And we almost got Easy's real name. What a good stream. Chapter 839. It's, no, never mind. I was gonna make a really dumb joke. Descendant of an ancient god. Fuck. In that instant, Klein heard the elder's reply had vulgarities resounding in his mind. Apart from that, no other thought appeared. I'm sorry, did I do my timestamps? Yes. Okay, awesome. Zaratul, the leader of the Secret Order, a descendant of the 4th Epoch Solomon Empire aristocracy, the former owner of the Antigonus family notebook, and the Beyonder guided by Emperor Rizzo. He was a true high-sequence Beyonder of the Seer Pathway, a miracle invoker who had a secret existence about 2 centuries ago. He was believed by Rhodes to have lost control, turning from an angel into a monster during his attempt to advance the Sequence 1 Attendant of Mysteries. And that's why he's there. He is waiting. Oh, he's been waiting for a worthy seer to be sent here. Oh my god. You know, I'm gonna shut up. I'm keep reading. No matter which description was used, he was a heavyweight that the present Klein was unable to resist. He had the feeling of shock and a figure from history textbooks as he jumped out and walked in front of him alive. He also felt that the air around him appeared to congeal as they piled on top of him, crushing his body and stifling his breathing. Kleinhan once imagined that perhaps all his encounters, including his transmigration, had stemmed from Zaratul's setup, and he suspected that he would be akin to the final boss he would encounter in the games. That's what I was thinking. I guess it's not Zaratul. What the fuck? Okay, so Zaratul isn't going to be the big bad guy. All right, he's going to be his guidance. I lost my place. Oh my god, I'm too fucking excited. He believed that by road to have lost control, turning to range. Oh, he was extremely heavyweight. President Klein was able to resist. He had a shocking figure text, which I don't walk in him. He also felt the air around him appeared to congeal as they piled onto him, crushing his body and stifling his breath. I'm too excited. I'm losing my fucking place today. Understand? You have a great day. Klein had once imagined perhaps all his encounters, including his transmigration, had stemmed from Zaratul's setup, and he suspected that he would be akin to the final boss he would encounter in the games, and now he had met him ahead of time, so it has to be Amon. I'm only a Sequence 5. Klein couldn't help but shout out inwardly as he suspected that the person opposite him was the real Zaratul. Zaratul is the last name. It represents an aristocratic family in the 4th Epoch Solomon Empire. In theory, there should be many Zaratuls over the Zaratul family. There should be many Zaratuls over the 2,000 years of history. Perhaps the one in Rizzo's diary is the grandfather, brother, or the son of the Secret Order leader. Also, he mentioned that he had been dead for years. Well, the Rhodes and Will Ossipton have testified that the Secret Order's leader Zaratul is still alive. Well, this is only a portion of him. and he somehow lived on. He had just lost control and turned into a monster, turning extremely crazy. Klein tried to convince himself that the situation might not be as terrible as he had imagined. This quickly calmed him down as he began to carefully contemplate the beyonder powers that this started to showcase. Doesn't seem like much, but all of them exceed the realm of normality. It's even more so that for the related to the history and fate, he is definitely not only a bizarre sorcerer, he might even be sequence 3 or sequence 2. And this pathway's angel are few to begin with. This place is intricately tied with the nation of the Evernight, which disappeared from the main peak of the Hornicates mountain range, and it produces the ravings that reach the ears of low and mid-sequence beyonders of the Seared Pathway. Back then, Secret Order's leader Zartul's had fewer appearances after he had obtained the Antigonus family notebook via Emperor Rizzo. It's unknown what he was plotting. Does this mean that I can believe that he had come to the main peak of the Hornicates Random Age to seek out the treasure left behind by the Antigonus family based on the notebook and obtain the corresponding potion formulas and ingredients of a sequence 1 attendant of mysteries? Be careful, chat, and let him enjoy the moment. Oh, wait, careful. Yeah, we'll be careful. I'm seeing a few messages unsent. It's okay, guys. We're just a little excited. In the world of mysticism, repeated coincidence usually imply problems and a confirmation. If it is that, Zaratul, could it be the splitting himself to store himself inside the foggy town is the reason that caused him to cause his ultimate loss of control? As for being long dead, there's an even more reasonable explanation. The Secret Order leader Zaratul had said so himself. Was it a miracle that is to be resurrected from the dead, and he was already a miracle invoker? Oh, wait, so there's a chance he can come back. So that's why he left himself up there in the foggy town. As Klein's mind turned, the hoary elder... That's such a weird word. The hoary elder. I don't even know what that means. Hoary, grayish white. Oh. I thought he was a different type of hoary elder. I was like, okay. The hoary elder who claimed to be Zaratul chuckled. From your reaction, you seem to know me. Klein quickly probed. I've heard of this last name. I once met Queen Mystic and the leader of the Secret Order from her, also known of its leader. The elder nodded gently without giving any confirmation or denial. He smiled and vaguely asked, what other help do you need? Give me the bizarre sorcerer ingredient, right? Help. Klein recalled the beyonder powers he had showcased and said after some hesitation, are you able to summon a fish from the outside world from the concealed world history? It's okay if it has already been turned into food. From his point of view, it wasn't an impossibility. After all, most of the people that entered the town had come from the Sonia Sea's easternmost front, the ruins of the Battle of Gods. Perhaps some fish that had been reared there had been brought in. They could then be used to store food and also be used to observe the changes in the environment. There could also be explorers who vanished from not being able to sleep in time, who, when night came after eating their fill of the fish. It wasn't unreasonable that the fish meat could be found in the history of the foggy town. Zaratul raised his head and looked at Klein. He didn't immediately give an answer. After a few seconds, he leveled his gaze and said indistinctly, yes. Just as he said that, a blob made up of ground fish meat appeared in an atom of blood center's hand. It can only be maintained for 45 minutes. Once it's over, it's as though one has never eaten it before, Zaratul added. That actually where Klein increasingly found the high sequence beyond powers of the Seared Pathway to really be bizarre and terrifying. He planned on saying that he didn't need any help, but considering how Zaratul was well known to be deceitful with everything he said and did being questioned, he felt that he needed to make some preparations. Amidst his thoughts, Klein decided to appear a little greedy to lure Zaratul's appraisal of him and believe that he could easily lead him to do his bidding. After letting his marionette put away the fish, his eyes rolled a little as he indiscriminately drew a breath and said, I still need the bizarre... He's asking him, I still need the bizarre sorcerer potion formula. Zaratul didn't change his posture as he fell silent for a few seconds. He then said with a chuckle, no problem, as long as you trust that I'll give you a real formula. What the heck? After he returned with Obnisk Rock, I'll hand over the potion bizarre. No shot, he gets it. I said this! Didn't I say that when he goes to the Hornicus mountain range, he'd receive a qualitative change and become a high level beyonder? I remember saying that hundreds of chapters ago. Do you think that pulling him from the history part is considered a miracle? That could be a miracle. Is it? No, don't worry, that's not a spoiler. I feel like him pulling all this random shit is a miracle, because he did say it earlier. No, it's okay. You guys don't have to delete it. No, it's okay. He's just asking the question. After he returned with the Obnisk Rock, I'll hand over the bizarre sorcerer potion formula and the symbol needed for opening the door to you. Sai, that isn't something that I need to care about. All that matters is that you scatter my ashes back into the river, my hometown. After Klein listened in silence, he couldn't help but ask, you have a very high level. The ashes you leave behind will contaminate the river and create countless monsters? Zaratul laughed upon hearing that. Very meticulous. However, there's nothing special about my ashes. I've lost him long ago. As he spoke, he looked up again and glanced at the peak of the ancient cathedral. He is hinting that this beyond characteristics and body's specialness has been absorbed by the magnet above. Klein pondered over Zartul's meaning as he pressed on the matters regarding his Beyonder pathway. What's the oh shit, here we go. What's the Sequence Street post name after Bizarre Sorcerer? So this is the only one we're missing, and Sequence 0 is a high probability Lord of the Mysteries. Zartul beard. I don't want to read it early. Zartul's beard moved slightly as he said, "Scholar of Yore." What the fuck is Yore? What? I'm gonna look that up later. Scholar of Yore. Scholar of Yore. Although it sounds like a relic that's already dead and dug up from a tomb, Zartul had repeatedly mentioned history. Scholar of Yore. That has something to do with history? What? Wait. The corresponding Beyonder powers are fascinating. Klein thought in glee as he asked, then what's the corresponding Sequence 0? Klein, you're flying too fucking close to the sun, bro. You already know it, bro. Lord of the Mysteries. Come on, dude. Zartul lifted his head again and glanced at him, and finally he chuckled and said, you will likely know when you open the door to escape. Oh, shit, dude. Don't look up Scholar of Yore. No. I just want to look up the word Yore. That's it. Zartul's head didn't turn as he said in a muffled manner. Wait, I skipped the line. I hate people like you saying things midway, often just smiling without giving an answer. That's literally what he does at Tarot Clubs. Who is Klein? To question Zartul's knowledge when he's doing the same shit when he's the fool? I hate people like you saying things midway. Wait, he doesn't say things midway. Often just smiling while giving an answer. That's literally what Klein does. Charlatan pathway. He's mad at charlatans when he's a charlatan himself. Klein merely understood that the feeling Emperor Zhou once had as he turned his gaze to the statue beside him and asked, who is she? Zartul's head didn't turn as he said in a muffled manner, she is a descendant of an ancient god. Okay, what the daughter of the Evernight? This means we know all the sequences except 0. Come on, man. It has to be Lord of the Mysteries. I'll be so mad if it isn't Lord of the Mysteries. And it's going to be... Oh, you know what's crazy? There has not been the Lord of the Mysteries title drop. It's going to be so sick when it happens. A descendant of an ancient god. A descendant of the annihilation demonic wolf Legera. What? The angel that erases people is a descendant of the annihilation demonic wolf Legera? What? Brother, what? This ancient god seems to wield the authority of Evernight. His descendant established the nation of the Evernight. Before Klein could ask a question, he heard Zartul chuckle and say, she also has a brother that you wouldn't be unfamiliar with. We know from when they revealed demonic wolf Legera, he split himself into 2 pieces. I remember that. That is in my notes. He split himself into 2 pieces. So this would have been the other part. That would have been the brother. Oh, demonic wolf Legera would have been him, and then the 2 that are split. Okay. Who is it? Klein tried. I don't want to read it too early. Klein tried hard to recall who, but he couldn't find an answer. Zartul chuckled. He gave himself a new last name, Antigonus. What the fuck am I reading, dude? Antigonus, nation of the Evernight, Hornicus Flagera. Klein's eyes lit up slightly as he pieced together. This is gonna be so hard to remember. Wait, what the? I need to imprint this stream into my mind right now, bro. There's too much fucking happening right now, dude. Holy shit. Antigonus, nation of the Evernight, Hornicus Flagera. Klein's, I gotta tear my eye. Klein's, so much is happening now, halfway through the series. Klein's, we are 60% done with this series. Holy shit. Klein's eyes lit up slightly as he pieced together the fragmented pieces of information. It's very easy to understand the Church of the Evernight destroying the nation of the Evernight as its battle of authorities. However, to completely eradicate the Antigonus family for having inherited the seer beyond paths of the divine doesn't make sense. There's no need to go that far. Wait, what? After all, the pathways that can be interchanged with the sleepless pathway are the deaf and the giant pathway. Furthermore, Klein was still puzzled to this day. Why would the Antigonus family place their treasure on the main peak of the Hornicus mountain range? Why did they trust the people of the nation of Evernight that much? Now he finally understood something. So much is still unknown. Holy shit, man. What is Klein understanding, bro? I'm so confused. Just as Klein was about to ask more questions, he suddenly saw the crimson moonlight shining in from the cathedral's windows brighten. It drew out shadows of the corpses, hanging them in the air. The crimson moon had turned clear. Klein's heart Klein's heart tightened without any additional thoughts. He followed his emergency plans. By raising his right hand, snapping his fingers, he lit a candle by the wall that was a distance away from him. At the same time, he got Sonora to possess him as he leaped out, somersaulting in the process before arriving on the wall closest to the outside. And this time, the entire cathedral had turned abnormally silent. There were no longer any resounding ravings. Klein's spiritual intuition didn't give him an indication of danger, but he could still tell from the shadows on the ground that the corpse's hanging emitter had turned towards the flame. Without any hesitation, Klein pressed on his left palm down, passed through the wall, and arriving outside the cathedral. Then, without even daring to even raise his head, he borrowed the driving force of a wave to tumble and run towards the nearest building. The distance from the wall to the wall was only about 10 meters, 30 feet. During this process, he didn't hear the beast-like growls nor detect the loitering figures. However, his back felt that it was being pierced by the sea of glares. In just seconds, Klein had appeared outside the building, pressing down with his palms. He passed through the wall, then he snapped his fingers and remotely used flame controlling to extinguish the candles inside the cathedral. After a brief moment of silence and anxiety, the feelings of being stared at vanishing beyond the tightly drawing curtains, figures began to appear as they began loitering. Oh my god, that's the chapter. Okay, next chapter. Let's keep reading. All right, next chapter. Chapter 840 is using... I'm sorry if I'm not reading chat right now. Hold up. The excitement is real. Chapter 840 is using his advantage. With all the abnormalities vanishing, Klein heaved a sigh of relief. He began observing his surroundings. Wait, so we're going to get the Sequence 0 name reveal once we escape. Holy shit. With all the abnormalities vanishing, Klein heaved a sigh of relief. He began to observe his surroundings. Then he selected a shadowy spot that wasn't too dark due to the faint moonlight. This was to prevent himself from suffering any sudden attacks. And the few seconds from before had made him come up with a theory about the faint figures and beast-like growls. They were apparently corpses that were hung inside the cathedral, producing the ravings of Hornicus flagera. When Klein passed through the wall and left the cathedral, the corpse that hung from above had turned to face the lit candle, and there weren't any figures on the street until Klein remotely used flame controlling, extinguishing the flame. Everything was the same as before. When the crimson moon is clear and one spiritual is enhanced, the magnet at the top of the cathedral will have a strong influence on the foggy town. It will be able to control the corpses to loitering around and pretend that everything is normal. If that really is the case, the light might actually be attracting the controller's attention. Under such a circumstances, if the flame isn't extinguished and the source is locked on, it might result in extremely terrifying outcome. I can't rely on flame controlling to repeatedly divert the attention of those figures. Klein reminded himself. Then he turned to use his spare body thread's vision, and he didn't deactivate it to size up the bread. To size up the rye bread, stewed beef, potatoes, and red wine on the dining table. He suspected that the food here was part of the magnet at the top of the cathedral. If it was consumed, one's spirit body threads would be corrupted, and it would cause them to be unable to resist floating towards the cathedral. This was also explained why eating the food caused them to vanish. They ended up being hung up to dry in the cathedral and be let out to walk when the crimson moon turned clear. This is such a weird, foggy town, bro. How the hell does Cuttlefish come up with all these scenarios, bro? What? They end up being hung up dry in the cathedral and then let out to walk when the crimson moon turned clear? This matched Mr. A's description of the vanishing people reappearance under the bright moonlight. At a glance, Klein discovered that the food was like living beings. They had spirit body threads extending out, reaching towards the ancient cathedral. The most special point about them was that they had only one spirit body thread, obviously being different from the dense, countless spirit body threads of normal living creatures. Indeed, it's close to my theory. After attaining some validation regarding this theory, Klein retracted his gaze and considered how to deal with the demoness of despair, Panatia. Beside him, brave Sinor, an ancient triangular hat and dark red robe appeared. The marionette's bone cracked as his face squirmed. Soon he turned into German Sparrow. This was a marionette using the powers of a faceless. Klein observed his double for a moment and realized that there were some flaws. The clothes couldn't be changed, and if he concealed them with an illusion, it was impossible for him to fully demigod level Demoness of Despair. Even Mr. A might not fall for it. After some thought, he made Rev Sonar take off his clothes. As for him, he took off the black clergyman robe and they switched clothes with one another. While wearing the clothes and hat, Klein's expression turned odd. Over the past 2 months, the marionette had been wearing the same outfit. It had been down the sewers and experienced and explosions, so there were all sorts of smells mixing with clothes. It wasn't a pleasant smell. So, sigh, my present suffering is all a result of my laziness prior to... He's not lazy! Get out of here, dude! My present suffering is all a result of my laziness. Prior to this, Klein sighed silently as he completed changing the appearance. He had turned into German Sparrow dressed as a pirate captain. At this moment, Sinor also changed into the black clergyman robe. His aura was spirited and no longer cold. He looked no different from a living person. Klein deliberated for a moment and took off creeping hunger, allowing the Admiral Blood to... Oh, I was like, why is he taking it off? So he's going to wear it. Allowing Admiral Blood to wear it on his left hand. This way, the marionette was a perfect copy of German Sparrow. One must go all the way when putting on an act. Oh, shut up. He's gonna fully digest his potion after this, right? Oh, he is going to fully digest Marionettist after this fight. Because now, Senor is like a perfect copy of him. What better way to digest his potion after this fight? Besides, if creeping hunger were to revolt at this moment, then it will be eating the marionette. Once the marionette lapses, will it feel cheated? It's like it ate a placebo. As Klein got... This is going to be so funny. As Klein got centered to get used to his state and take away the fish meat, he seriously began formulating plans. Relying on the marionette that can use my beyond powers wouldn't be able to defeat a demon to despair. Even stealing the obsidian rock from her is nearly impossible. She's a genuine demigod after all. Even though this extremely convincing marionette gives me a chance of achieving success in battle, such as letting it draw her attention while I complete a sudden sneak attack and constantly swap positions, thus confusing Panatia so that she can make an accurate judgment. I can't make up for the disadvantages that stem from the differences in our levels and strength to achieve my goals. I can consider using the marionette to engage in close combat and attempt to control Panatia's spirit body threads. He's already a corpse, so he wouldn't be affected by the plague. I can catch her by surprise in using this method, but there are too many problems. First, the mystical viruses and germs that the demons of the spirit created will grow in strength. At its peak, it will be able to affect a zombie. Second, does this still have the beyond powers I'm not aware of? There's a high chance that it's the case. I'll first make a list and write down my advantages or things that are on par with the Demon's Despair. Let's see if I get any ideas. I can disguise myself. A marionette using its beyond powers can be considered the level of a demigod. Instantaneous swapping it also... I'm reading wrong. Instantaneous swapping is also one. Apart from them, there isn't anything else. Yes, considering a Demon's Despair current state, I seem to have something that I'm better at than her. She's in a half-crazed state. Her reason comes and goes at random, and she does extreme things. She easily leads around by her instincts, although she's still good at incitement and allurement. That's an innate quality for catching her prey. As for me, I'm only in normal state, and I haven't had any problems from my rationality, and yet I'm still able to think and analyze. Don't tell me I need to come out at the top of using my wit. An idea came to Klein as he gradually formulated a new train of thought and plans. Why must I fight the Demoness of Despair, Panatia, to death at this moment? She definitely yearns to escape this foggy town. Deep down in her heart, this will be something that beats her instinctive need to eat. Furthermore, she's still full at the moment. I can try to cooperate with her. She can ride the obsidian rock and now draw the intention, the secret symbol, putting together the conditions for opening the door. This is my favorite part about Klein, how smart, cautious, and meticulous he is. I love him, man. He is such a good protagonist, dude. Besides, I'm not sure about Zard. Like, I would have been so dead in this series in Volume 1. Like, there are so many red flags where I would have been dead, but this guy is way too smart, man. Besides, I'm not too sure about Zaratul. Who knows what schemes he might be up to? I'm sure. Look, like, for example, I already trust Zaratul. What do you mean what schemes he might be up to? He might be secretly plotting something. By pulling a Demon's Despair into this, it can effectively make the situation chaotic and restrain him in some way. Cooperation is a diplomatic choice, not a militaristic choice. The effects of an intact stand and a demigod level will definitely be better than directly engaging in battle. This is equivalent to me obtaining the benefits from both sides. Klein rapidly made a decision as he pondered on the details of him negotiating to cooperate. He patiently waited for the crimson moon to return behind the fog. After a while, the crimson moonlight that seeped through the dark-colored curtains dimmed. Klein immediately made the marionette pass through the wall and leave where he was hiding. Then Center walked out of the streets with the appearance of German Sparrow, walking straight towards the pitch-black cathedral. In about 10 seconds, Klein discovered that Sinar was being affected by an ailment. To the dead, this was completely unaffected, but Klein could foresee that with the passage of time, the ailment would worsen and turn stranger. It might even affect the one nerves and spirituality. This would make the zombie's actions turn stiff, and the end, even in the knees, it would be unable to bend, making the movement only possible by hoping. Thankfully, I didn't choose to use the plans of letting my marionette control the spirit body threads. Klein immediately made Sinner say out loud, I was inside the cathedral for a while, and I'm not dead. I found a way to escape from this place. After saying that, German Sparrow sniffed as as though his resistance to the element had weakened due to the declining state of the body. And at this moment, the white robed Panatia suddenly appeared at the door of the cathedral. Her hair had been tied up once again, looking neat and tidy. Her slightly crazed look and beautiful eyes looked at Grim and Sparrow as she took out a strangely profound obsidian rock. The contours on the obsidian rock was identical to the insect on the wall behind the cathedral statue. You need it, Patina asked calmly. Klein discovered the demons of despair had dispelled her plague and ailment as he hurriedly made Sinor nod. Yes, as long as you place it in the correct location in the cathedral and match it with a special symbol, we will be able to open a door that allows us to escape. I know that the cathedral's interior is very dangerous to you, but this is mainly a result of the spirit body threats. And as a marionettist, I can control spirit body threats to prevent you from suffering the fate of being hung up. Bro, this is where we make her a marionette, bro. Bro, he has to do it. I scrolled down too much. He has to do it. I lost my place because I scrolled too much. I found my place. I accidentally scrolled down too much. Okay. I know that the cathedral's interior is very dangerous to you, but this is mainly a result of the spirit body threats. Bro, she's gonna be a marionette. Like not the red flags. The setup is here. And as a marionette, I can control my spirit body threads to prevent you from suffering the fate of being hung up. Panatil fell silent for a few seconds as she curled her lips. With a bright smile, she returned with a question. Then I'll become your marionette, or you can stop helping me at the critical moment, making me turn into a loitering figure under the moon. Klein was long prepared. He merely made his marionette reply earnestly. What should I do to make you feel at ease? Panatil didn't immediately reply. After some careful thought, she said, give me your hair and flesh. Oh, shit, for a curse. Curse that demonists are good at. Using Sinor's hair and flesh to curse Gimmer Sparrow. Count me as a loser if that works. As Klein felt grounded, he made the marionette appear in a difficult position. Then wouldn't you be able to kill me at any moment? Oh, shit, dude. Hey, yo, Mick, I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Not because she's a demoness. Because she's a demigod, brother. What do you mean? He's going to have a demigod as a marionette. Benatir replied with a smile, you can hand me the hair and flesh only when we enter the cathedral. When inside, if there are any signs of me cursing you, you can give up controlling my spirit by the threat. It will be the same the other way around. If anything abnormal happens to me, I'll immediately curse you. Once the door is open, I'll leave first, and at the same time, I'll return the flesh and hair to you. Germer Sparrow hesitated for a long time as he discussed the details with Demons of Despair. Finally, he nodded and said, all right, let's do it. Just as Panatia wanted to say something, her eyes suddenly narrowed as she slowly said, for some reason, I'm still a little worried. Oh shit, dude. Let's keep reading, brothers and sisters. The plot is thickening indeed. Let's keep reading. Chapter 841. Keep each other in check. I thought it said cheek. Like, oh, like demoness cheek? With terrifying intuition, despite not realizing that German Sparrow in front of you is a double, you still feel that something is amiss. Hidden in... Oh, she still hasn't figured it out. No shit. Something is amiss. Hidden in a faraway building, Klein inwardly drew its gas. His mind raced as he quickly came up with a corresponding strategy. He controlled Sinor and made the marionette reply in a deep voice. I'm also a little worried. After opening the door, if you leave first, you can ambush me from the other side once I'm out. You don't need to ambush me. You can just wait outside. I believe that I should be the first to leave. And before that, you need to return to me my flesh and hair. When the time comes, you can be closer to the door. This way, you will have enough time to pass through the door before your spirit body threads drift to the top of the cathedral. Panatia listened in silence and returned with a question. Then how do I prevent you from destroying the door after you leave? Like, woman, just trust me. This is also a problem for me. The marionette answered without giving any signs of weakness. When I obtain the special symbol, I'll show it to you. That way, even if I close the door, you will still be able to open it again. Panatia closed her mouth as though she was thinking through the details, but she had appeared someone irresistible. I can hardly compose herself. It was as though her inclination for instantly had filled her mind. I did not get notified. Busy. No, I'm so sorry, username. Yeah, it's weird. Sometimes notifications don't go out. After about 10 seconds, she said again, I think a pure curse might not be able to harm you. Seers do not lack the means to avoid harm. Just like the paper figurine substitute you used before, she really isn't leaving behind any loopholes. Thankfully, the person in front of you is a fake from the top to the bottom. As Colin lampooned, he made Sinor take out a paper figurine after another. Then he burned them all in front of the Demons of Despair. I can be sure that you haven't hidden one. Panatia said in suspicion, still somewhat neurotic. German Sparrow twitched the corners of his mouth in a deadpan manner and said, you can try divination. Aren't you witches good at that? Panatia smiled impatiently and said, the spirit world cannot be communicated with in here. What coincidence. And my spirituality. She didn't finish her sentence and looked in her eyes turned somewhat dangerous. Klein knew what the Demons of Despair was getting at. Her spirituality had been corrupted due to a half year of eating. It was somewhat chaotic and crazy, making it give unreliable answers, especially against a Beyonder that was best at divinations. The two reached a stalemate, momentarily unable to resolve the problem with trusting one another. Just trust them, dude. At this moment, on the roof to the left, a hoarse and muffled voice sounded. I can be your witness. German Sparrow and Panatia turned their heads at the same time and looked over. Mr. A. Oh, shit, dude. Is it going to be a three-way fight? What the fuck is going on now? Mr. A's figure grew out from the shadows as he wore a blood-red hooded robe. How will you bear witness? Climbmate Sinner asked. Mr. A pulled down his hood and said with a deep chuckle, I'll use flesh and blood magic to drill into your body and control your condition. Once you stop controlling the spirit body threads, or if you try to use paper figurine substances, I'll immediately give a warning or attempt to stop you. Once the door you speak of opens, I'll leave your body and pass through the door before my spirit body threads are affected. Do you think German Sparrow is an idiot? Klein made his marionette curl his lips. Based on what I know, Rose Bishops can hide in the bodies of others, but the host will immediately die once they leave. No, using this method is to evade investigations. Therefore, I don't know if I'm trusting him now. There's a need to fuse with the host flesh and blood, but there's no need to do so in this situation. I'll silently wait inside of your stomach. Mr. A explained in detail. What the fuck? I'll silently wait inside your stomach, Mr. A explained in detail. No, it's not my stomach, it's Sinor's stomach. Climb made German Sparrow take out a gold coin and pretend to attempt a divination. This crazy adventure muttered under his breath as the gold coin in between his fingers was flipped. With a ping, the gold coin flew into the air and landed in his palm. German Sparrow carefully glanced at it. From the looks of it, you are lying. However, you will have to leave my body before I show the special symbol to Lady Despair. If this wasn't done, German Sparrow might end up being murdered by their collusion. After all, if Panatia obtained the door-opening symbol while wielding obsidian rock, given enough time, she didn't need to worry about the anomalies with her spirit body threads. Then she wouldn't need help from German Sparrow at all. Mr. A's existence was only to prevent the use of paper figurine substitutes. However, German Sparrow didn't need to be too worried if Mr. A came out ahead of time. He wasn't even afraid that Panatia would lose the Dicarum after knowing the door opening symbol, because if that happened, he could rely on paper figurine substitutes to avoid certain death. On the other hand, Panatia wouldn't carry out a pursuit in the cathedral. This is because she would end up being hung up, by the threads. She would end up hung up by the passage of time. Hence, she needed to seize the opportunity to escape it immediately. Besides, there was no way to take the obsidian rock. German Sparrow would then have no choice of any subsequent escape attempts. Although the details of this plan were still flawed, it's fully considered a situation of all three parties. Panatia raised her hand and grabbed at her hair that was sliding down her sideburns when she suddenly asked, if I were to escape first, aren't you afraid that I'll ambush you? This is a problem that German Sparrow was previously worried about. Klein immediately made his marionette curl his lips and say, I'm afraid, but I still have other means of escape. I'll take the risk. Panatia took 2 steps in an irritated manner before finally saying, we shall do it as agreed then. After making up her mind, he smiled, became extremely relaxed. You really are a special man, a man that made me see hope. After we leave, I don't mind letting you experience what extreme pleasure is. If you aren't afraid, okay? It ain't that bad. German Sparrow shifted his gaze away with great effort before looking at Mr. A. I have no more questions. With the sound of howling wind, Mr. A flew down and landed not far from German Sparrow. His figure, along with his clothes, rapidly melted away, turning into a sticky glob of flesh and blood. Right on the heels of that, the flesh and blood piled onto one another and kept comprising into a tiny stream that the thickness of arms. Then it flowed towards German Sparrow. We will Klein know is deeming this ain't that bad. I think he's about to find out. Oh, he definitely gonna find out if it ain't that bad. His figure, along with the clothes, rapidly melted away, turning into a sticky glob of flesh blood. Right on the heels of that, the flesh and blood piled onto one another and kept compressing into a tiny stream that the thickness of an arm. Then it flowed towards German Sparrow. From far away in the building, Klein felt somewhat disgusted as he retched. Then he made German Sparrow open his mouth. Ah! Getting them Glock 3000 from a demon. The flesh and blood stream climbed up the marionette's body and drilled into its mouth. The slightly warm but slippery feeling passed through the gullet and entered the stomach. It's heavy, however, Mr. A's flesh and blood is helping to hold up the stomach, preventing it from sagging too much. Klein inspected marionette and made him look up at the shrouded crimson moon to say, Panatia, let's begin. Alright, Panatia, who can hardly withstand her urges, impatiently walked towards the cathedral's entrance. Klein made German Sparrow follow by her side and firstly plucked off his hair before making the 2 meat tendrils growing out from his arm before ripping it out and made blood gush out. Can't wait for this to get animated. It's gonna be so sick, dude. Season 4. If someone very familiar with me were here, they would definitely notice the problem because I can't deal harm to my other body so decisively. Perhaps in the eyes of others, crazy adventures, German Sparrow can probably do such a such a deed easily. As Klein noticed the problem and gained experience from his conclusion, he made the marionette pass through the ajar main door of the ancient cathedral. He then handed the hair... He better fully digest his potion after this shit, man. He then handed their hair and flesh to Panatia. Panatia slowed down her pace as she took out an ugly palm-sized puppet and wiped the flesh over it and tied the hair around its thin neck. She held the cursed puppet in one hand and finally stepped through the cathedral's door. Klein immediately got Germansparrow to control their spirit body threads. As for Mistray, he had overlapped with marionettes. If it wasn't too much of a hassle, even I can do that. With the power showcased by Zaratul, he totally has the capabilities to help Beyonders that are not from the sheer pathway to resolve the loss of control over spirit body threads in the cathedral. He can help. This way, as long as he wants the demons of despair to enter, he could have opened the door a long time ago. Why didn't he do it? He was waiting for Klein. He is unable to communicate with others beyond the cathedral. Oh, that's why Seer Pathway Beyonders who aren't marionettists or hires can't walk to him. Oh, that's what they wouldn't even be able to make it to him. Klein uses marionettist's sense to analyze the situation remotely, and inside the cathedral, the corpses remained dangling in mid-air. Their heads were bowed and their eyes were rolled bad. From time to time, they would be swayed with the wind, producing the ravings Hornicus Flagera. When Panatia saw the scene, her body instantly stiffened, but she quickly composed herself. Together with Germansparrow, they walked under the gazes of the hanged. Before long, the hanged wasn't... The hanged man? Oh, no. I was like, is that a pathway? Something hanged? It was like, maybe that's volume 5. Rizzo would be proud. Rizzo would be proud. Before long, they saw the pitch black altar in the statue of the ancient god's descent. Zaratul remained sitting diagonally behind the statue, wearing a hood and sporting a white beard. When Germansparrow and Panatia approached, he slowly lifted his head and chuckled. Very good. Beyonders from the Seer Pathway need to know how to use your brain and not always think of fighting. I'm sorry. Did we see This is... In the trailer, we did see a hooded man with all these hands when it says Hornicus Flagera. Was that supposed to be Zaratul? Very good. To be honest, from the sheer pathway, need to know how to use brain and not always think of fighting. He seems to have foreseen that all of the paper figurines of Germansparrow would be destroyed. He directly reached out his wrinkled palm and grasped at something. His grab pulled out a yellowish-brown goatskin and quill filled with ink and a bottle. This made Panatia involuntarily twitch her brows. Zaratul picked up the quill and scribed words and symbols before rolling it up and handing it to Germansparrow. That's the door opening symbol, as well as the bizarre sorcerer potion formula you want. They can only last for 45 minutes and cannot be taken out. Klein avoided the demons of despair and unfolded the goatskin, allowing the potion formula. The door open. Yeah, that makes sense. You can't take it out, so he has to memorize it. Allowing the potion formula, the door opening symbol, to appear before his eyes. Suddenly, his pupils constricted and nearly froze. The door opening symbol and the symbol provided by the Antigonus family notebook via the misfortune cloth puppet. Is it like the luck enhancement ritual? Were mostly the same. It was a vertical eye made up of many mysterious patterns and labels representing concealment. However, there were tiny differences in details. A crescent pattern that had switched spots with a dotted line label. Do we have artwork on this? All right, next chapter, 842. All right, next chapter, we're jumping straight into it. Chapter 842 is called Behind the Door. Catch my breath, sip my coffee. At that instant, the first thought that surfaced in Klein's mind was, as expected, Zaratul has a ploy. It's not the symbol, but I sent 2 of the cathedral. Okay, we'll look at it then right now. As expected, Zaratul has a ploy. Right on the heels of that, he was thankful that he had obtained the correct door-opening symbol from the Antigonus family notebook ahead of time. With a newfound confidence, he didn't panic and became at a loss. Zaratul returned the quill and ink bottle to the past as he lifted his head, scanning Germansparrow and Panatia. He had said to the side, all the conditions are in place. You can now open the door. Upon saying that, he fixed his gaze on Germansparrow and chuckled. Don't forget to take my urn with you. Just as he said that, his entire body suddenly crumbled into countless points of light. Oh, he disappeared now. He said he'd disappear when he gave it to him. His entire body suddenly crumbled into countless points of lights and scattered into the surroundings, fusing into the void. It was as though he has long rotted and turned to dust. Left in the spot where he was sitting, there was a tin urn. Its surface had ancient patterns that didn't look anything special. Klein made Germansparrow take 2 steps forward, bent down and picked up the tiny urn. He found it heavy, nothing like something that was fake. He used the hand holding the goatskin to open the lid and saw that it was filled with grayish-white powder and particles. It didn't have a lustrous glow. It really is just ordinary ashes. Then who helped cremate Zaratul? He cremated himself? After Germansparrow closed the lid, he casually used the goatskin wheel in the hand to take out a piece of flesh from a pocket and swallowed it. Panatia noticed this action as she squinted her eyes at him as though she was asking what she was doing. Klein stuffed the fish of the marionette's mouth as he deliberately adjusted his breathing and said, I'm a little nervous. I'm not sure if this door opening symbol works. Panthea had already confirmed that he was eating ordinary fish meat. Although it looked somewhat disgusting, the half-crazy her had lacked the patience to make further distinction. She moved her gaze away and looked at the urn and smiled. If it's useless, we can share it. I'll have 1 scoop a day, and it will last a very long time. This demon's mental state is really abnormal. Klein silently sighed, passing by the eraser angel statue and suspected by the mother of the sky. German Sparrow came in front of the wall. Then he turned his body to the side and pointed to the insect and said to Panthea, "Place that omnisc rock inside." Panthea smiled gorgeously as she said with the dull eyes, "Let me see the door opening symbol first. There's no need to be so wary of me. If I really wanted to harm you, I can immediately give up my marionette and you wouldn't have the time to escape this cathedral. You'll definitely be hung up when the time comes." Damn, I'll saunter in, pick up the obsidian rock, and open the door to leave. That's exactly what he should do. Music change. Shut the fuck up. Really? Oh, I have it ready. I have it ready. I have it ready. It's already here. I have the music ready. All right, we're doing this live. Hold up. Hold up. Look up. Bah! Play. Bah! Look, I already got it ready. Okay. I lost my place. Oh, wait. There's no need super wordy. There's, however, the symbol given. When the time comes, I'll saunter in, pick up the obsidian rock, and open the door to leave. However, the symbol given by Zartul is really problematic. It's best that I find a person to bear the brunt. Klein's mind's whirled as he made Germensfer lift a palm and pat the abnormal while opening his mouth. Music change. Can you guys hear it? You guys, is it okay? Music too low, too loud? I think it's okay. A blob of indistinct flesh and blood surged out, piling up ahead and turning into a beautiful feminine Mr. A. He really is a femboy. Upon seeing this scene, Germensparrow flicked the goat skin and unrolled it. The special symbol was with the bizarre sorcerer potion formula as they were reflected in the eyes of Panthea and Mr. A. Panthea's eyes darted above before she smiled conquentiously. I cannot read that word. No music, easy? All right, you got me good. You got me good. It's very quiet. I'll raise it a bit. I'll raise it a bit for you guys. Let me raise it a little bit more. Perfect. I think this is better. Upon seeing the scene, Germensparrow flicked the goat skin and unrolled it. The special symbol was with a bizarre sorcerer potion formula as they were reflected in the eyes of Panthea and Mr. A. I'll raise it once it gets louder, but it's growing louder. It's very quiet. Don't worry. I'll raise it right now. Once like fight happens, I'll raise it. So it can like slowly creep in. Panthea's eyes darted about, but she smiled and cautiously and said, "Open the door, you leave first." She had confirmed that Germensparrow was still helping her control her spirit body threads, so there was plenty of time for her to wait. As she spoke, she threw the ugly puppet stained with blood and tied up her hair at him. She's also afraid of an accident. As Klein got Germensparrow to catch the puppet, he watched the demoness of despair take a few steps forward and inserted the obsidian rock into the recess. The two fused together perfectly, not leaving any protrusions. The wall rapidly emitted light and gradually turned transparent. It could be seen that the outside was paved in the stone slabs. There were walls with holes and clouds floating in mid-air. As Panthea took a step to the side, Germensparrow held the puppet, goatskin, and urn in his left hand and reached out his right palms. What if this door like connects to the gray fog, right? Great. It's a fog town. Easy is giving us dynamic. I'm giving us dynamic music today. Yeah, I got you. I feel like the door that's opening is going to connect to the gray fog. If they're in Gray Town, might as well go to the gray fog. I don't know. As Panthea took a step outside, Germensparrow helped the puppet goatskin and urn in his left hand and reached out his right palm. He then used his finger as a pen and drew the vertical line and made up several concealment symbols on the transparent wall. During this process, Klein was in a dilemma. He wasn't sure if he should draw Zartul's symbol or the Antigonus family one. Although he believed that Zartul was problematic and had a scheme, he felt that he had belittled this power figure after calming down. If Zartul's sole purpose was to harm him and everyone else within, there was no need for him to mention the opening door. All he needed to do was wait patiently and achieve his goal. Furthermore, with the Grey Fox aura completely severed and screened from Klein by the foggy town, he couldn't figure out why Zartul would target him. Therefore, his final judgment was that Zartul's goal was to coax someone into opening the door to allow him to obtain something or escape something. As for whether there was danger, it's the urns. He wants the dirt. He wants the urns to leave. Like he wants his ashes in the river. As for whether there was danger after the door opening, that wasn't with his consideration. If scattering the ashes was genuine and rather important, it was likely to be relatively safe after heading out. In short, danger was at every turn. That also meant that Zartul's door opening symbol was real, and the probability that didn't carry any danger was 50%. Bro, those are the highest odds I've ever seen in a gacha game. That's basically a guarantee. And at the other end, the Antigonus family notebook was necessarily kind-hearted. The scene that Klein had seen from divinations he did from the Grey Fog, and the information he obtained from Zartul, and the fact that Zartul had lost control and gone mad, he could basically determine the main peak of the Hornicus mountain range. Antigonus, trusting the Ivero spirit 100%. You see, I would have been dead long ago. Bro, it's too naive. Yeah, I'm telling you, I would have been dead so long ago in the series. Family's treasure might very well be an enticing trap. then whether there was any latent risk in the complex picture provided by the notebook, there was something they needed consideration. On the other hand, it's a tiger. On the other hand, it's a wolf. It's the ultimate choice of the lesser evil. And, oh, they dropped the word lesser evil. Didn't I say a long time ago the true creator is probably like the lesser evil of the Orthodox gods? Okay, hold up. Now we're getting... Now, you see, Cuttlefish is slowly building up the idea of choosing the lesser evil. Although the Antigonus family symbol is for entering the treasure trove, it doesn't mean that it can be used to leave. As Klein contemplated, he didn't stop drawing while he quickly approached the part which was different. At this moment, he stole a glance at Panatia and discovered that her eyes had a glint in them as she wore a smile. It felt like she had the urge to cry. If she's normal as a senior instigator, she should be able to control her expressions. Besides, she just saw the door opening symbol as well. Klein's heart stirred as she let her marionette drop the symbol provided by Zaratul. Soon, the complicating vertical eye was drawn. Pure lights enveloped the area as they traversed the patterns and finally gathered together. Amidst a spectacular blast of light, an illusionary double door filled with I'm reading wrong. Amidst a spectacular blast of light, the illusionary double door filled with a secrecy appeared on the wall. Very mysterious. Due to the push from German Sparrow, it slowly opened. Behind the door was an ancient stone tile, the whole written walls they had previously seen. Everything was silent and there were zero abnormalities. At this moment, Panatia's figure suddenly shattered, turning into mirror fragments. At the same time, the lady in pure white robe appeared in front of German Sparrow and passed through the door. Was she also a double? And in her mind, there was an additional ugly puppet stained with blood, its neck cold with strand hair. As for the one German Sparrow hands, it had degenerated into pieces of glass. In terms of magic illusions, a Demon's Despair was several times superior to Klein. She also used Magic Mirror. After Panatia passed through the door first, they both used clones. Wait, no. Is that what it was? After Panatia passed through the door first, she half turned around and faced German Sparrow, revealing a crazy and teasing smile. Black flames soared from her palm as she ignited the puppet. Is she trying to kill him? This fucking bitch! This fucking bitch! At this moment, as though she was saying despair, plunged into the deepest pit of despair just as hope arrives. Only then did Klein realize that the curse couldn't be diverted or whether the paper figuring substitutes. Panatia immediately turned around, preparing... I fucking knew it, man. Panatia immediately turned around and... Why couldn't they just all like kumbaya and just walk through it together? Panatia immediately turned around, preparing to depart from the foggy town after the ancient cathedral, afraid that an accident would happen. At that moment, her eyes suddenly froze. Her body crumbled, transforming into one mirror after another. However, she wasn't able to put a distance further than 10 meters behind her and the door. This fucking bitch. There are three absolute truths in Lord of Mysteries. 1, Roselle will always be a freak. Beware of the Red Moon. 3, Easy will always trust evil spirits. Yeah, that's been pretty true this whole time. In just a second or two, Panatia let out a sharp cry as invisible threads and thick black hair curled around her, binding her within. Her exterior was covered in black flames as she froze into layers of ice. Suddenly, all of the disintegrated demons of despair, Panatia eyes effused clear, deep despair and regret. Her expression rapidly turned stiff as her neck seemed to... I'm sorry, are we going to tag team the demons of despair? Wait, that came out so wrong. I'm like, is Mr. A and Klein... that came out so wrong. Is Mr. A and Klein gonna tag team the Panatia? Are we gonna have a 2v1? That's what I meant, huh? I meant, are we gonna have a 2v1 scenario with Mr. A Klein against Panatia? That's what I meant. Her expression rapidly turned stiff as her neck seemed to held up the invisible hair. Her entire body rose into the air and hung there. Her eyes rolled back bit by bit, by looks remained immaculate. Bruh, tag team... I'm talking about in WWE, you know, like tag team matches. Come on, guys. Honey, are you watching? I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. Honey, I apologize. I love you, babe. On the other side of the door, German Sparrow's body had been enveloped in black flames and began melting like a wax. As for Mr. A, who had planned on flying through the door, he began retracting, vomiting a fresh mushroom after another. His body began to sprout mushrooms as if a drizzle had just passed. Before German Sparrow lost his vision, the scene behind the door pulled close, presenting an empty foyer. No, it wasn't empty. Hanging in midair were even more corpses. They were all of the ages and sexes. Some were dressed exquisitely, others gorgeously, ancient or casually. These corpses were like the ones hanging in the cathedral. They were all floating up at the same time and went as though they were acting in grand musical, accurately reflecting a musical of the daily lives of any details a town should have. What the fuck? Klein saw that behind those hang corpses that were all transparent and slimy tentacles, it was covered in complex patterns with secrecy hidden within, which should have been mysteries within. It was as though it could drive anyone crazy. Countless tentacles extended deep into the floor, and there sat an accident-hung stone chair. Its surface was inlaid with dull gold gems. This Klein tensed up as he didn't hesitate to close his eyes and cut his connections with the marionette. In his mind, the scene that he had seen from the previous divination surface, seated on the huge chair were countless translucent maggots that clustered together. Ew. This is the chair from the vision. The chair covered in maggots. Seated from volume 1? Seated from when he drank his potion? What the heck? Seated on the huge chair were countless translucent maggots that clustered together. They squirmed slowly as they grew freely, extending out nearly invisible tentacles. And the final scene that was embedded in the marionette's vision was at the bottom of the ancient chair. A tarot card sat silent. Holy shit! It's a freaking full card, right? Oh my god! Oh my god, it's the card. It has to be the full card. That's why Zartul was so confident, like, you'll know. And the surface... Oh, wait, I skipped the line. And then the final scene that was embedded in the marionette's vision was at the bottom of the ancient chair. A tarot card sat there silently. Its surface was also that of Rizal. The Emperor was wearing a... I'm getting so fucking excited. The Emperor... Whoa, I skipped out. A tarot card sat there silently. Its surface was also that of a Rizal. The Emperor was wearing a gorgeous head accessory and colorful clothes. It held a stick with luggage hanging from it as though he was on a long trip. I'm sorry, is it this? Is this what we see? He had a visionary look, and beside him was a puppet at the corner where shining words. Oh my... The fuck out of here. Sequence 0 the Fool? The Fool literally joined as I read the Fool? What a coincidence, Mr. My audio. What a coincidence. Oh my god. He found it. He found the fucking card. He found the freaking mighty card. Magical mushrooms? What am I reading? Sequence 0 the Fool? Oh man, praise the Fool. Oh my god. Oh, praise the Fool. From the blood and bread of the Fool. Holy shit, dude. I fucking love this series. This is my new favorite volume, dude. Holy shit. All right, here we go. We have the full fucking pathway reveal. Chapter 843 is called Magical Mushrooms, Sequence 0, the Fool. After this, it almost slipped from my hand. After discerning the words of the Terror Club, Klein once again felt the same feeling he had when he heard Zartul say his name. At that moment, he felt a strong call of destiny. He felt that everything he... What? At that moment, he felt a strong call of destiny. He felt that everything he had been arranged from the beginning, just like 008. He began to suspect that his original judgment in believing that the female beast tamer from the traveling circus had visited Tingen and performed a tarot divination for him and wasn't an ordinary person. What? As his thoughts raced, Klein viewed it from another angle and came up with a new idea. Gradually, he stopped beginning the horrified, fearful, and depressed. Perhaps it wasn't a machination, but the changes that I brought about myself. This is because of the ritual that resulted in my transmigration. I had a connection with a mysterious space above the gray fog. Fate would naturally be affected as a result, more precisely as a visitor from another world. I never had my fate here. The current trajectory I've taken as a result of my character, the encounters of the original client, the influence of the gray fog and the surrounding environment. The call of destiny is beyond our character's convergence. The call of destiny is the beyond our characteristics convergence. I can't wrap my head around this right now. Hold up. What? Wait. Let's keep reading. The mysterious space above the gray fog is clearly strongly... The mysterious space above... Oh my god, I can't read. The mysterious space above the gray fog is clearly strongly tied to the seer pathway. And this pathway, Sequence 0, is the Fool. When projected into reality in front of divination, I'll definitely get the Fool as my card. I got it right here, brother. Similarly, this resulted in me later using the Fool as my name. Dude. Klein's mood calmed down bit by bit, believing that this was the most plausible explanation. Using ocean becomes a razor to eliminate all personality unknown factors, I can still obtain a reasonable explanation. That means that it's quite likely to be the case. Klein forced himself to stop thinking about the questions he couldn't provide to certain answers. 2. He then turned his attention to what had just happened. That huge chair at the clusters of the translucent maggots were what I saw when I made a divination above the gray fog. From carefully considering and affecting things from his harrowing scenes, it might very well be an angel from the seer pathway, an angel that has lost control and turned into a monster. Zaratul himself? What? If it's the former, that corroborates with what Rhodes and Will also pretend. Zaratul is already sequence 1 and has lost control and gone mad. He broke down into monster. This can also explain why Zaratul only wishes for the door to be opened. It's because once the door of the secrets is open, the door of secrets is open, the two sides will have a connection, allowing him to recover from his present state bit by bit. Oh, he gets to recover? Otherwise, wait, what? He would recover from his present state bit by bit. His repeated emphasis on his ashes were just a pretense. But herein lies the problem. The environment Zaratul is located in, as presented by the Rhodes, doesn't resemble the ancient palace at the mountain peak. Otherwise, I would have recognized it back then. What of the angel from the Antigonus family who's been living as an abject existence? One that made Zaratul suffer after he came from the Hortican's mountain range. Oh my god. This is getting overwhelming. I sent the official full card in Discord. We're going to look at it after this chapter. Holy shit. I'm so... Let's look at all this at the end. He sent a clone of himself that was sane back to the main body. Let me read this again. He sent a clone of himself that was sane back to the main body that lost control. Okay, that makes sense. So that the clone can help it gain back its sanity when Klein... Okay, that's what he's thinking. That's what he means bit by bit he'd recover. Okay, the two sides will have a connection. So both sides will connect, and like the sane side and the insane side will merge and recover bit by bit. Okay, okay. I got it. Don't worry, I'm not completely lost yet. Otherwise, I would have recognized back then. With what if the angel from the Antigonus family who was living at an abstract existence, one that made Zaratul suffer after he came to the Hornicus mountain range, after obtaining the notebook from Brazil, he had a part of him that separated from him without realizing it, thus causing him to go mad during the advancement. Regardless, he is a sequence 1 attendant of mysteries. Damn. After all, Zaratul was already Miracle Invoker back then. From this angle, Zaratul's goal might very well be the opening of the door, allowing the Foggy Town historical and fate becoming mixed with the outside world, preventing him from being disassociated again. Past merging with the present. Whoa, okay, this is getting deep. This is getting very mysterious. Zaratul's goal might very well be the opening of the door, allowing the Foggy's Town history and fate to become mixed with the outside world, preventing him from being disassociated again. Okay, I'm not lost yet. Regardless, the cluster of translucent maggots is probably a sequence 1 that lost control. No wonder the Demoness of Despair faced a breakdown the moment she saw him. Oh, that's why? She only managed to struggle a little before being hung up, turning into a marionette that's being hung up to dry. Holy shit, dude. Thankfully, I was lacking in clues back then, and the scenes I saw through the divination was clear enough. Other way, what happened to Mr. A in this whole scenario? Is he still in his stomach? I completely forgot. Where's Mr. A in this whole scenario? I would have suffered a terrible blow from witnessing a complete and crazy mythical creature. I would have lost control and mutated. Wait, no matter how strong he is, can he be stronger than the eternal blazing sun and the true creator? Hell no. Even if a seer pathway beyond her has certain resistances against the mysterious space above the gray fog, it would at best make them be at the same level. In other words, as long as I endure the pain with the prerequisites met, I have once changed of prying on its secrets and completed mythical creature state is mixed within. Oh my god, I'm reading wrong. I have one chance of prying on its secrets, and a complete mythical creature state is mixed in with the relevant knowledge. Who knows, I might be able to get 1 or 2 high sequence formulas, just like how I obtained the Unshouted from the Eternal Blazing Sun back then. He's chilling, still in his stuff. Okay, so he's still chilling. So he's our new marionette. As this thought, Klein couldn't help but have a scene surface in his mind. The fool above the gray fog was silently reaching out of his thieving hands once again. While relying on joy, Klein also found it a great bit. Dude, I'm already thinking how much Alger's gonna glaze him. When they see the cards, they're like, what? Sequence 0 is the fool? And then they're gonna look at Klein like, oh, he's Sequence 0? And then they're all gonna bow their heads in front of him. While reeling in joy, Klein also found it a great pity because with his present level strength and items, he had no way to head to the ancient chair with a translucent magnets and pick up the full card. Damn. To see an item that one desired the most but not being able to obtain it is often painful. For you, at least I've already obtained the bizarre sorcerer potion formula. In the future, I still have once changing and prying on its secrets. The risk I took this time wasn't in vain. All the gold pounds I spent on the marionette I lost wasn't in vain either. Zartol likely wouldn't give a fake formula. To him, there's no need for him to lie to a Sequence 5 Beyonder who might not walk out alive. Besides, if he was lying, he had to be wary of me already knowing the bizarre sorcerer's potion formula. The reason why I asked might only be to determine if he was worth trusting. Oh, that's smart too. I didn't think about it that way. I'll divine this later when I'm back above the Great Fog. Klein heaved a sigh of relief, and seeing that he hadn't had any abnormalities outside for quite a while, he decided to immediately approach the pitch-black cathedral and observe the changes inside. To him, all the problems that he thought about weren't pressing issues. The pressing issues was to leave the secret world, to leave this foggy town. When he came out of the building he was in, who was wearing an ancient triangular hat and dark red coat, carefully came to the entrance of the ancient cathedral. He carefully passed through the ajar door and walked in. The corpses that looked and dressed differently were no different from before. They remained hanging in midair, swaying with the wind and protecting ravings of the Hornicus Flagera. No spoilers, please. Oh, I didn't read it. If there's a spoiler, I didn't read it. Clang walked under them as his eyes got accustomed to the dim environment, allowing him to see more. The half-demonic wolf and half-human state was still standing there without any signs of damage. The obsidian rock and the tin urn were behind the statue without any signs of cracking. Klein's first heaved a sigh of relief as he began to observe his surroundings when his gaze froze. In a dark corner stood a gigantic mushroom taller than he was. What? Beware of mushrooms? Okay. The mushroom's cap had scarlet red-like blood with interspersed white patterns. Its body was formed out of similar tiny mushrooms. Their patterns drew out a face, Mr. A's face. However, Mr. A's eyes were blank. It didn't have the glint that one would call human. There were mushrooms growing from both sides of the stem, forming into long arms, and on the left palm was a thin human skin glove. Both parties had seemed to fuse at one. Wait, what? Both parties had seemed to fuse as one? His innocence was gone the moment he read 627. He began taking action to protect himself. While doing so, having not deactivated his corresponding visions, he discovered that the terrifying mushroom didn't have any spirit body threads. It appeared to have long been dead, and its only movements were the results of spasming nerves. Suddenly, Klein had a theory. Mr. A, who had been infested with mushrooms, didn't manage to escape in time and had seen the clusters of translucent maggots. Oh, he looked at it. He had seen a complete mythical creature, causing his mind to instantly die as his body collapsed completely. This also resulted in a terrifying mutation. R.I.P. If then merged with Senar, who had disintegrated from the curse, becoming a never-seen-before mushroom monster. Also, Creeping Hunger has been swallowed by the... We lost Creeping Hunger? Creeping Hunger has been swallowed. This mushroom is really disgusting. I'll throw Frank into the sea if he ever mentions mushrooms again. Klein's eyes darted around slightly as he subconsciously headed for the obsidian rock. He planned on ignoring the mushroom and first escape. Did he lose Creeping Hunger? At this moment, he felt his mind turning adrift. Everything around him seemed to turn into a blur. No Creeping... We fucking lost Creeping Hunger! Son of a bitch! Damn it! Really? Nah, bro. He has to go back for it. That's literally one of... This is why... Fuck mushrooms, man. I hate them. If anybody eats mushrooms on their pizzas, go fuck yourself. No, I'm kidding. No. I'm kidding. Wait, that's really mean. I'm getting a little passionate. I hate mushrooms now. What? He immediately escaped the... Wait, I skipped the line. At this moment, he found his mind turning adrift. Everything around him seemed to turn... Where am I'm so lost. What'd you say? F me for real? I'm joking. I'm sorry. Suddenly, Klein realized that he was being forcibly pulled into a dream. He immediately escaped the dream and saw the nearly 2-meter-tall mushroom sliding over slowly. In its hand was a great sword that was a combination of the scarlet magma and blue hot flames. It can use Sword of Lava. I'm sorry, a giant mushroom is using Sword of Lava? What? I'm getting hit by stray bullets. It can use Sword of Lava. Klein didn't hesitate as he opened his mouth to let out a sound bang. The extremely penetrative air bullet hit the mushroom, who had slowed down due to it being engaged in controlling dreams. The bullet drilled through its cab, tearing open a huge wound. Underneath the wound was a human flesh of tiny spores. They quickly squirmed and restored the body. To think that that's possible, Klein felt a strong sense of danger as he hurriedly lunged to the side, rolling several times into the process. The mushroom sped up suddenly as the swords of lava in its hand dragged scarlet and blue flames, cleaving down the spot Klein had been standing at. It caused the floor tiles to rupture as flames scattered. At this moment, Klein snapped his fingers and ignited the tiny mushrooms that formed monsters. It's like, igniting the tiny mushrooms that formed the monster. Then he ran towards the back of the statue in an attempt to obtain the obsidian rock. But finding his thoughts go adrift for a moment, Klein realized that he was going in the wrong direction. Oh, shit, man. He's like he has a fucking master key all of a sudden. He's like he's going the wrong way. He was rushing towards the entrance. It can distort my will. Klein's heart tightened as he noticed through the corners of his eyes the surface of the gigantic mushroom was covered in a layer of frost? The demoness? The frost had extinguished the soaring scarlet flames. As his thoughts raced, Klein ran towards the door and snapped his fingers, igniting the tree leaves outside. In the situation with zero understanding about his enemy and him having not made any preparations, he believed that a magician had to choose to retreat and avoid danger for the time being. No! More importantly, his strongest marionette's powers were useless because the gigantic mushroom didn't have any spare body threads. Scarlet... Oh, no wonder he can't really go up against him. He doesn't have any spare body threads. Scarlet flames soared up like water, enveloping Klein's body. He quickly appeared in the flame outside as he jumped towards the ground. He was just about to distance himself when he heard a howling wind. The red-capped mushroom had come out of the cathedral with his auspice of a strong gust of wind. It can... A flying mushroom? It can even fly? Klein... They fly now? Klein snapped his fingers using flame jump to open up a gap. Meanwhile, he discovered his nose was itching as he wanted to sneeze. Think about this. The mushroom is more dangerous than Admiral Blood and Admiral Hell combined. Okay, in a way that's actually kind of funny that a mushroom is stronger than all of them. Bro, what the fuck, dude? This is crazy. Meanwhile, he discovered his nose was itching as he wanted to sneeze. I'm also sick. How am I supposed to fight? How is he supposed to fight this? How is he supposed to get out of this? How am I supposed to fight? I don't have any mystical items, and I haven't been able to fully express my strengths as a marionettist. It really is a magical mushroom. Klein was at a loss on whether to laugh or cry when he hid inside the building. Suddenly, he felt his body become somewhat cold as his mind naturally reflected his present appearance. His ancient triangular hat, dark red coat with white pants and black boots had vanished. All he had on him was a pair of briefs to uphold his last bit of dignity. This 30 minutes are up. The spell of the summoning incineroar in the past had ended. Klein instantly understood that the reason as he began to think. That mushroom, which fused with parts of Admiral Blood, has likely dispersed as well. That mushroom, which fused with parts of Admiral Blood, has likely dispersed as well. Also, in another 15 minutes, the effects of the fish will disappear. It will lack the main elements that forms it. Klein couldn't help but curl his lips. He immediately used flames and leaped out. Indeed, as he expected, the gigantic mushroom, he had a ridiculous hole in part of its stem. Furthermore, it couldn't fix it, causing its speed to slow down and become impeding. Come on, let's play hide and seek, Klein silently said as he began circling. Here, we're almost done with the chapter? What the fuck? We're going through this quickly. Klein silently said as he began circling the town streets, using the mushroom building to engage in a mere chase with a gigantic mushroom. During this process, the crimson moon didn't turn clear at all. After more than 10 minutes, the terrifying mushroom finally lost its ability to move as it collapsed on the street. It's dead. Klein gave a sigh of relief as he slowly and carefully approached. He saw the flesh and blood of the mushroom was gathering together at points of light converging. Soon, all that was left was tiny human skin glove. Oh, he got creeping hunger back! This, because of the mutation brought about the Sequence 1 Angel, Creeping Hunger fused with Mr. A? What? Oh my god, what is this upgrade? What the fuck am I reading? What? They can... Now mystical items are upgrading? Oh, because it fused with him. What? Get the fuck out of here. This, because of the mutation brought about by Sequence 1 Angel... Wait. I'm getting so lightheaded. I'm lightheaded. I'm so hype again. I'm getting really hyped up again. This because of the mutation brought up. Oh, I'm so dizzy. This because of the mutation brought about by the Sequence 1 Angel, Creeping Hunger fused with Mr. A. It's an upgraded version of Creeping Hunger. Oh, I'm so glad we didn't lose it. Klein bent his back as he carefully picked up the human-skinned glove. Oh, I need a minute to digest it. You guys added me right now. Let me read this. That mushroom is basically a shepherd with a creeping hunger and Mr. A beyond characteristics. To think that the mushroom was the strongest opponent he went up against, dude. Holy shit. Basically, shepherd, mushroom catalyst to upgrade mystical items. Sounds like a new tech unloved. Secret supplement, maybe pure dog shit, but shepherd is peak. Hey, man, don't diss secret supplements, man. They're fucking badass. Okay, next chapter. The Shepherd Square? Alright, Shepherd Square? Wait, I don't get the reference. Shepherd? What do you mean by square? Let me pause, update. Let me catch my breath, dude. Holy shit. Let's keep reading, man. What an amazing fucking volume. What an amazing arc. I feel like I'm swearing way too much. Hopefully the video doesn't get demonetized from all the swearing. Shepherd to the power of 2 for you? Yeah, and the American terminology is Shepherd to the power of 2. Chapter 844 is called Witch Symbol. The thin-haired... Wait, so now they're all gone. So now he can leave. The thin human... I'm so lightheaded, man. How did this upgrade? The thin human skin glove didn't look any different from the part, but Klein didn't dare to be too careless. He used divination to make a crude inspection. Apart from the 5 fingers, the palm at the back of the palm can each graze one... Wait. Apart from the 5 fingers, the palm at the back of... The palm at the back of the palm can each graze one more... So you can have 10 now? They can each graze one more soul. Currently, all 7 spots are filled. It has 7? Where are we getting 7? The palm and the back of the palm. Oh, I thought meant like 1, 2. Okay. The palm and the back of the palm. So 7. Okay, so he has 2 more. Okay. All 7 spots are filled. It has signs of similar bionic characteristics fusing together. It also seems to have the powers of flesh and blood magic. The speed of switching souls has sped up significantly. It also has to eat a person each day, or else it will eat its owner. Creeping hunger. You are swelling in self-importance again. You need to reflect on yourself above the great fog later. I'm temporarily unable to obtain any revelations for the rest. After I leave this place, I'll head above the great fog to make a more accurate divination. Yes, I'm still not sure if there are any other side effects. All I know is that it would cause me harm for the time being. Also, Mr. X, who was grazed, wasn't affected. Travelers traveling and door opening still work. Oh, thank God. I mean, thank the fool. I lost my place. Klein heaved a sigh of relief as he wore the upgraded creeping hunger. Then he rushed to the cathedral, hoping to leave as soon as possible. During his merry chase with a gigantic mushroom, he hadn't forgotten to cast an illusion on himself to make him wear a trench coat and a top hat. As for the bionic characteristic that Sinner had left behind, Klein suspected that it was likely in the hands of the Demoness of Despair, Panatia, and this demigod was being hung inside the palace. Oh, so we lost this characteristic. Klein giving the glove a timeout and like, I'm gonna need you to reflect on yourself when we go back up there. And this demigod was being hung up inside the ancient palace under the watch of the cluster of maggots. Damn, what the fuck? Flesh can be slowly eaten to be stored for the future, but bionic characteristics will definitely have to be appeared. Oh wait, I'm reading wrong. But bionic characteristics will definitely have appeared and taken from afar this much time. Even if Demoness of Despair didn't care too much about it and threw it somewhere in this place that isn't connected to the spirit world and highly restricts divination, I'm not able to quickly locate it. And in this sort of environment, who knows what sorts of anomalies will happen next? Who knows if the obsidian rock will automatically teleport and disappear? Thus, I need to make every second count and escape as quickly as possible. Klein returned to the cathedral with a clear line of thought. Although he had promised Miss Sharon to sell Sinor's bionic characteristics to Merrick, the ingredient itself was corrupted to begin with, making it difficult to use for the concocting of a potion. Secondly, his safety was a lot more important. Bro, imagine a demigod being hung up in just a few seconds. That shit is fucking wild, man. This is probably his hardest challenge he's probably faced up so far. Like, out of everything we've faced up against, this has to be like top 3. This has to be like the scariest moment in all of LOTM so far, or like the hardest situation he's been in. been in. Wow, I'm stuttering. Although he had promised Miss Sharon to sell Sinner's beyond characteristics to Merrick, the ingredient itself was corrupted to begin with, making it difficult to use for the concocting of a potion. Secondly, his safety was a lot more important. Yes, it's not like it cannot be resolved. I can just hunt another Wraith or find the Will Ossipton's help to shatter the beyond characteristic in Merrick's hands, and now allow it to be purified. What? Which beyond characteristic in Merrick's hand, and now allow it to be purified. Head, this was also have to wait until a particular infant is born. Klein mumbled silently as he passed through the swaying corpses and came to the side of the stone door. Oh my god, my arms are so sore. All along the way, he found the iron cigar case which he had used to put the marionette in. It hadn't been devoured by the mushroom. Oh, so it's still good. A Zix copper whistle in the low-end gold coin inside weren't damaged either. Okay. Putting them away, Klein controlled his spirit body threads to prevent himself from floating to the top of the cathedral as he bent down to pick up the obsidian rock. After confirming that the important item wasn't damaged, he felt a lot calmer. He then inspected Zartul's tin urn. When he opened the lid and took a careful look, Klein's pupils constricted as his gaze instantly froze. All the ashes inside were gone. There wasn't any left inside. Zartul's achieved his goal. Should I say as expected? Klein threw away the tin urn while feeling doubtful. He stood up straight and inserted the obsidian rock into the wall at the back. The wall emanated light again as it turned transparent, allowing the people to see the ancient stone slabs outside the hold wall and the floating clouds. At the thought of the cluster of the terrifying maggots, Klein was in a rush to draw the blood and provide the Antigonus family notebook. He first raised his right hand and snapped his fingers. What is? Oh my god! Oh, I almost messed up the full card. And snapped his fingers. He had ignited a tree outside the cathedral in preparations to escape with flaming jump the moment something wasn't right. I love this arc. After making his preparations, Klein used his finger and quickly outlined the vertical eye formed of many concealment symbols. Compared to the previous one, a crescent and dotted line had swapped places. With his final stroke, the pure beams of light bloomed as they flowed the vertical eyes and patterns before blasting into the radiant light. The entire cathedral turned ethereal as in shook. Klein felt as though he had instantly arrived at the top where the corpses were being hung. In front of him was a pair of illusionary double doors. Behind the door was a familiar ancient palace. It was where Panatia and the other corpses were gently swaying. Oh shit. Translucent tentacles with strange and mysterious patterns swarmed over the slammed on the door, but were unable to open it. All it could do was use some of its strength to grab Klein's spirit body threads. Klein didn't hesitate to snap his fingers while pulling at the spirit body threads. He leaped to the flame outside the cathedral. Right on the heels of that, he snapped his fingers repeatedly as he flashed away, escaping the farthest point of the foggy town. After the ethereal feeling of the pitch black cathedrals vanished, Klein paused and frowned. That also leads to the place with the rampaging angel. What rampaging angel? Wait. The symbol provided by the Antigonus family notebook is as much of a trap as Zartul's was. However, this symbol only seems capable of triggering the door to escape, but it's unable to open it. What? Bro, you're not... No, don't worry. I'm not completely lost. Wait, what angel? What are we talking... Wait, which rampaging angel are we talking about now? That's the only part... Wait, what? But it's unable to open it otherwise. The one in it that... Oh, fuck, stupid. I already forgot about it, dude. Oh my god, there's so much happening right now. There's so much going on, bro. Oh my god. I'm too excited. Okay, thank you. I'm too excited. I'm like, what fucking rampaging angel? But it's unable to open it. Otherwise, I might not have been able to escape. It's the symbol for entry while Zartul's one. I was like, another one? While Zartul's one was for exiting. What should I do? How do I leave? Klein subconsciously surveyed the ghastly silent town, which was shrouded in the fog, and he forced himself to calm down. He began to think about how he could escape. Perhaps that's not the only one that was allowed me to leave, but it's unlikely. All these years, there have been batches of people coming to the foggy town. If there are any clues outside the cathedral, they should have long found it. Try another symbol. What should I try? Klein fell into deep thought as he analyzed the intricacies to see if he could be inspired. He's trying to find inspiration. The cluster of maggots on the mushroom range in sequence one angel who lost control. Yeah, I remember it said it was an angel that lost control. It was the maggots. And so the maggots is... So just to clarify, if I'm following right, the maggots is his... mythical creature. It's mythical form, right? When he lost control, that's his mythical form. That's the angel's mythical form, correct? Maybe no. Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, see, I understand that part. I understand that part. Like, it's his mythical form. Basically, yes. Okay, see, so I'm not lost. I was thinking the maggots is his mythical form. So when they said, like, oh, the crazy angel, I'm like, what fucking crazy? What crazy angel? And I'm like, okay, now, okay, that makes sense. They're in it of itself the same thing. It's a symbol for entry while Zarathul's one is exiting. What should I... Wait, where's the inspiration part? Klein fell into deep thought as he analyzed the intricacies to see he could be inspired. This place is related to the nation of the Evernight and the... I'm getting lightheaded again. This place is related to the nation of the Evernight and the Antigonus family. As for the monster on a huge throne in the ancient palace, it's definitely a rampaging angel from the Seer Pathway, regardless of his identity. Okay, that cleared it up right there. Zarathul, who's also involved in this matter, similarly an angel of the Seer Pathway. There are way too many seers here. The Antigonus, like, this shit is too crazy, dude. This shit is bonkers, bro. The Antigonus family's notebook, which provided the symbol, is also directly tied to this pathway. The massive maggot seems completely rational. It's completely sane. Therefore, the correct door opening symbol is likely related to the Seer Pathway. Sequence 0 of the Seer Pathway is likely called the Fool. This can be initially confirmed, otherwise the owner of the Card of Blasphemy wouldn't have been lured to the main peak of the Hornicus mountain range and become a hanger. The Fool. As he ruminated over the words, Klein suddenly thought of himself. He thought of the mysterious symbol behind the high back chair that represented himself above the gray fog. That symbol? He's going to use the symbol behind his chair? The Eilish... What? Perhaps I can give it a try. Klein pondered for a few seconds before deciding to make a bold attempt. After all, he was temporarily out of ideas. He returned to the Sparta Cathedral, and under the gaze of the hangman's corpse, and under the gaze of the hanged corpses, he walked to the wall behind the statue and picked up the obsidian rock that had fallen once again. After the obsidian rock was inserted, the door rapidly turned transparent. As Klein snapped his fingers to light another tree, he took a deep breath. He drew the full symbol that was made up of the pupilless eyes and he partially contorted lines. Soon, he contemplated the symbol as he found himself feeling anxious. By this time, nothing happened to the transparent door. It doesn't work. Klein... Oh, I thought it'd work. You mean this pupilless eye? Mm-hmm. Yes. Are we talking about this pupilless eye? Wow, I spit. It doesn't work. Klein's expression turned away as he suspected that he was trapped in there, engaging in murderous battles with the Beyonders who later entered, doing so until he starved to death or was eaten. He shook his head to dispel his motion of despair. He began running through ideas in search of other clues. This place is related to the nation Evernight and is related to the Antigonus family, and they were obliterated by the Church of the Evernight. The one who sent me here is the Eraser Angel, who's suspected to be the Mother of the Sky. She was active in the basement of the Church of Evernight St. Samuel Cathedral. It literally has a pupil in it. I know, I keep saying pupil-less. You know what I mean. Yeah. The eyelash-lit... Oh my god, I'm way too overwhelmed. It's a pupilless eye with distorted lines. The reason why people vanish if they don't sleep at night in the ruins of the Battle of the Gods is said to be a result of the remnant or of the strength of a deity from the Evernight domain. Therefore, this is clearly related to Evernight's authority or even the Evernight goddess. Areas related to the goddess. The more Klein thought about it, the more he lacked confidence. He was originally analyzed the problem from an objective angle, but he had unknowingly changed the way he addressed the Evernight goddess. And this led him to a new idea. Perhaps I can try the label corresponding to the dark sacred emblem or the symbol that represents the goddess of mysticism. Out of options, Klein exhaled as he raised his right hand again, drawing the simplified picture of the dark sacred emblem. Suddenly, the watery scenes behind the transparent door shook as a change occurred. So it's working. Although he could still see the ancient palace as the whole written wall, they were very far away and he could only be faintly made out. Behind the door was a bottomless cliff with jagged rocks. It was amidst the clouds and sky with stars of the crimson moon that hadn't been concealed by the sunlight. It was like some part of a mountaintop. It really works. Klein stared at the scene with a dumbfounded expression as he subconsciously reached out with his palms as he pushed the door open. There was a cold breeze outside that produced a howl. Klein was just about to take a step out when he fell into thought and paused. Then he flipped a gold coin and did a divination. He received a revelation that there was no danger outside. Following that, he drew a crimson moon on his chest in a feigned manner. After doing this, Klein stepped out with his right foot and passed through the illusory door. His vision went dark as he saw an endless night and resplendent stars. Following that, I feel like I'm reading the Volume 4 finale, dude. Holy shit. This is so good. Following that, he found himself on a mountain apart from an unmelted snow, jagged rocks, and morning sunlight. There was nothing. I'm out. I'm safe. I'm sorry. Is he out? I'm safe. Klein didn't observe his surroundings as he directly used creeping hunger to turn to sprint and attempt to use traveling. If this succeeded, it would mean that he had escaped the foggy state. Nah, it ain't over because you guys told me to read till 48. There's probably more going on. If this succeeded, it would mean that he had escaped the foggy town and returned to the real world. He could then leave the location he was at to avoid any danger. If he were to fail, he would quickly take note of the situation and be wary of any sudden attacks. After a moment, Klein's body turned faint as he vanished from the spot. Ah, okay, he's out. The colors in front of him, saturated in countless indescribable shadows, appeared. He had succeeded in entering the fog world. The fog world. He had succeeded in entering the spirit world. Holy shit, he's out. What? He's out. All right, we're gonna do overall thoughts. Audio and video out of sync. Are the audio and video out of sync? I'm not sure. Oh, why can't I scroll up? Why can't I move up? All right, overall thoughts. I think this is my favorite arc. And all of I'm out of focus. I think this is my favorite arc and all of Lord of the Mysteries so far. This has to be my favorite arc. Like, there's no shot this isn't my favorite arc. Like, this is hands down, I think, my favorite arc in the whole series so far. So much happened. I got like so far. Wait, hold up. So far, motherfuckers. We're barely on volume 4. Also, you forgot your honorific name tonight? Son of a bitch. We'll try when we come back later today. The keyword is so far. No shot, bro. How does it get better than this? Wiz was literally telling me volume 4 is a better ending than volume 1. And I'm like, how? But now I can see it. So look, I remember seeing this artwork last year. When I started reading Lord of the Mysteries, I remember seeing this artwork. Not only did I see this artwork, I set this as my backdrop for this. Ready to find out? Son of a bitch. Holy shit, we're barely halfway through the series. We got... Oh, he was wearing creeping hunger this whole time. I never realized that. He was wearing creeping hunger. Oh, and he has death now. He has his gun, right? Wow. Wow. Here is Bernadette. Wait, what is this one? Is this a nut? Wow. The devil is in the detail. Dude, the ending is peak. Holy shit, dude. So this is like... Now it's like... all the spirit body threads of all these people were pulled up there. And they're just like, just hanging there, swaying. Holy shit. I'm contemplating which one to use as our thumbnail. I don't know if I used this one or the other one. Do I use the blue one or this one looks badass as hell? No, I think I have to use this one. This one is fucking sick. Solo leveling Ragnarok web novel finished. Is it over? Oh my god, it is. It's over. Also, here's Bernadette when Klein asks her to contaminate his marionettes. What the fuck? I don't remember it looking like that. Really? Is that what that was supposed to look like? Doom? Oh, can you guys see Doom? There's no way you see Doom. Oh shit, you do see Doom. Look, there's like a little bit of green. The official full card? This is the official full card. Wow. Oh my, what's with a Wolf Flagera? Remember the hanging plant? I know that I didn't think the hanging plant was like this big. I didn't think we were reading Jack and Jill's adventure. What was it called? Jack and the Bean Sprout story. You know that kids book we always read as a kids. You know that one. I didn't remember it looking like that, motherfucker. It's a book. I don't remember reading the description like that. My bad. That's what I meant. This is so sick. And he has like a mask. So he has a mask at his waist. What's with the what? Jack and the Beanstalk. Thank you, Bullseye. That's what I meant. I wasn't picturing no Jack and Beanstalk scenario. Wow. And it even has 0? Is that what that is? Oh, shit. What? Jack and Beanstalk? Jack and Beanstalk. Wow. Wow. I have an official designs for all cards of Blasphemy. Oh, shit. No way. We're going to have to take a look at that then. All right. Well, we're going to leave it right there. Hands down, this was my favorite arc so far. and all of Lord of the Mysteries so far. Gurman, fuck man, Gurman Sparrow keeps showing me why he is the best persona. Damn man, Gurman Sparrow is like the best persona. The about of the details are insane. You won't catch about a lot of them until later. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot more details I didn't catch in volume 1. Like I feel like if I go back and I read him first transmigrating to this world, there's gonna be like some crazy ass revelations that I don't know about. It's like when you go back to like chapter 1 of like One Piece, or you go back to chapter 1 of like fucking Attack on Titan, and there's been shit that's been like said from the very beginning that just doesn't hit until like you get to the end. Wait, this was the volume 4 ending or just the arc? Just the arc. I'm not gonna, no, hell no, no. You guys told me that volume 4 ends like at the 900s. The best persona so far? Maybe? Nah, bro, not maybe. It is literally the best persona. I don't think Dwayne has not topped this persona. Sherlock Moretti has not topped this persona. Klein Moriarty, wait, no. Sherlock Moriarty has not topped this persona, and Klein Moretti has not topped this persona. Gurman Sparrow just keeps on winning, bro. He keeps winning W's. Bro, the scenes from episode 1 get revealed in volume 6. Damn, that's the level of details? Son of a bitch. I still want to know. No, that wasn't a spoiler, Hopeland. Like, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of scenes that get revealed later. So, you got timed out, Hopeland. I think you flew too close to the sun. It's okay. I assume, you see, here's the thing. I don't know what part he's talking about. So, that's okay. I don't know what part. P5R, the best persona? P5R? Persona 5 Royal? No, I'm just talking about the card. Easy Geeky, the details are so insane. Okay, he's talking about the cards. Oof. He got sent to the Shadow Realm. Hope got sent to the Fog Town, dude. He got sent to the Foggy Town for a minute. Oh, rest in peace, brother. It was nice knowing you, Hope. All right, man. We're going to leave it there. The goal is to come back today. I actually, hold up. I'm not going to lie. I do want to kind of play video games off stream. I'm going to beat Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, and I'm going to see how many endings I can get. I don't like how there's so many fucking endings in that game. Just have one ending, bro. I don't know if that's, you know what? That's my one video game hot take. I don't like that there's fucking 5 endings in Cyberpunk. And then it's like, oh, but this is the true ending. It's like, nah, bitch, the true ending is the worst ending that nobody likes. That's my favorite ending. And then it's like, now I'm playing Phantom Liberty. There's like 5 more endings. I'm like, get out of here. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Point is, this is my favorite arc. I'm going to try and finish that off stream. That is my one video game hot take on Cyberpunk. Let's go, and don't abbreviate Cyberpunk. Don't abbreviate Cyberpunk. Wait, do not abbreviate Cyberpunk. No. I've seen that meme way too much on Twitter. Like, no, don't abbreviate Cyberpunk. The true ending is the ending I get. That's my ending, the first ending. Point is, we're gonna leave it there. This is really hype. This is a really amazing series. Oh, Cyberpunk. It's a good series username. Yeah. Do not abbreviate Cyberpunk. No, do not abbreviate. Add 77 at the end, at least so it looks like we're talking about Cyberpunk. So I'm gonna go finish Cyberpunk off stream. And if I finish it in time, after I hit the gym, I should be able to go live and read more. So I'm going to let you guys go. You guys have an amazing, beautiful day. And I will see you guys next time. Have an amazing day, brothers and sisters. I'm going to let you go. Don't look at my bed. I know I didn't make my bed. Don't judge me. All right. Peace. Have a beautiful day, guys. If I don't see you today, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Later.